You're on mute. You're on mute like that. You're on mute, dog. You're on mute, dog.
What starts the season?
There we go. We're back. Yes, the World of Football podcast is back, and it has been ages. I think it's been May since the last time we were online anyway, but it is fantastic to be back. Obviously, the new time at 7:30 obviously allows everyone to get ready, basically come home from work, etc. But it is great to be back, and tonight we're going to get the other panelist Premier League predictions. So how well they're going to be, we shall wait and see. But joining me is obviously the panel. We have Mr. Nathan Morgan. How are you, Nathan?
I am doing very well, thank you, Doug. The football season is finally back, and of course, it's a miracle. I'm actually a happy Cardiff fan for once. Who would have thought after last season? And hope everyone had a class summer, unless your name is Ryan Dilks. And apart from that, I hope you had a shocker, because your opinions are absolutely revolting. If anyone's seen my last video. Let's have a great season. The podcasts are back. Thanks for having me on, as usual, for another year.
It is an absolute pleasure. He is the king of controversial predictions, and I'm guessing that nothing is going to change this time around. We have Mr. Josh Bell. How are you, Josh?
I think I've got Melissa, but I'm also the guy who brings all the comedy and laughter with my interest and ways of putting things. So it's good to see all you guys again. You know, I've had a summer transition. I've got a new job. I'm now a McDonald's employee, and I've left the baker world. I have to really fit on, but anyway, I look forward to it. Obviously, I had a power cut, but thank you to the amazing job of my local electricity company with being able to get back. You know, they just knew I could not miss this podcast, and I have to see Reece's ugly face again, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, I have practically seen this guy all day today. We practically work in the same building, which is quite frightening. It is Mr. Reece Russell. How are you, Reece?
What's happening, troops? What's happening? And welcome back to my show.
And of course, the last but not least, it is Mr. George Kyle. How are you, George?
Very good, Doug. Yep. Had an excellent summer, but very glad to be back. Obviously, a new season and new expectations and new prospects. And really looking forward to the video. And welcome to all of you guys in the comments and all the viewers who are watching it back as well. Great to be back.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a long time. Actually, since the last podcast, that happened. So, it feels amazing. Feels amazing anyway. But yes, obviously, can I just say, before obviously we start with the Premier League predictions, congratulations to the Lionesses. It's probably an England squad that I can actually say that I can actually like. There's no big egos in the Lionesses side, and I thought they were fantastic yesterday. So congratulations to the Lionesses, and what a fantastic achievement it was as well. So what's basically going to happen tonight is, as you can see on the screen there, is basically that Josh, Nathan, Reece, and George will give their Premier League predictions and see how they line up with mine, of course. So this is going to be very, very interesting. So what I will do is, one by one, I will ask you for your Premier League prediction from obviously 20th to 1st, and we will see how well they compare. So my 20th place, for people who are obviously not aware, I actually have Bournemouth. So without further ado, if I can actually edit this, let me just see if I can edit this.
Don't get slow on the technology.
I'm not used to the laptop, to be honest. So I've got Bournemouth. Nathan, who have you got for 20th place?
Now, I've seen quite a few of these Premier League predictions, and there seems to be a bit of a trend this season. Probably until this podcast, I have not seen another person put this team anything over the bottom, and that is AFC Bournemouth. Few reasons. Only signing is Ryan Fredericks. Thought they were quite patchy last season. And not only that, Scott Parker's style of play really does concern me in the Premier League. He got caught out many times last season, and he's going to be caught out a lot this year as well. If they don't get rid of him maybe around January, February, I think they will finish bottom. AFC Bournemouth.
Okay. Josh, is it 3 out of 3 for Bournemouth, or who have you got bottom?
No, my 20th place, I've gone with Fulham. I think Fulham. I think first of all, Marco Silva. We all know he is a defensive disaster class in the Premier League. His defensive statistics are absolutely atrocious in the Premier League. On top of a Fulham team that really probably lacks confidence and belief in the Premier League. Again, it's a defensive shambles manager. Also, Fulham did struggle towards the end of the championship season last year. They showed their weaknesses, and Mitrovic is literally like Timo Pukki. He can score goals in the championship, does absolutely fuck all in the Premier League. I don't see where the goals come from. I think Marco Silva won't last the season, and I think they'll start okay, but we've seen the issues that this Fulham team had last year in the championship, but they did so well at the start that they got away with those issues, and I feel like those issues will continue going in the Premier League, and they will only end them up in the championship next season.
Interesting. Reece, two have gone for Bournemouth, one's gone for Fulham. Who have you got bottom?
Well, you all know, I literally before the show, I literally told you I done mine on the fly. So I've got 1 to 20 at last. I've also gone Fulham. Like I've said it before, and I think it's funny that they've signed the worst German goalkeeper I've ever seen. Like they've signed, they're signing Bernd Leno for $8 million. That for me is a relegation offence. Like, I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced by Fulham. I agree with Josh regarding Silva as well as a manager. Like he's great for the Championship, but as terms of the Premier League, like I think the best way to describe it in the Championship he's like Pep Guardiola. He runs the place. In the Premier League, he's Frank de Boer. So yeah, I'm just going to go with that. What nationality is Silva again? Portuguese.
Portuguese, yeah.
Right. So the Portuguese Frank de Boer is going to get bottom of the league, and you'll get sacked as well. So yeah, Fulham bottom for me.
Okay, so 2 for Fulham, 2 for Bournemouth. George, who's your 20th place?
Yeah, I think a bit like, obviously, a bit like the panel, I was quite split as well between those two teams as to who I was going to place bottom, because there's various reasons why you'd place either in the bottom. But in the end, I did plump for Bournemouth being 20th. What I had for them was that I think a bit like, and the other thing I did do was I sort of watched your Premier League prediction after I'd already done my 20, Doug, and it was quite funny to sort of see that you'd also got Bournemouth 20th as well. So I had the fact, obviously, similarly to what you sort of said, I had a terrible lack of signings as it presently stands, lack of quality within their present squads. Means I'm tipping Bournemouth to prop up the table, and also becoming another yo-yo club, much like the club, obviously, which I'm going to place above them in a moment. The stadium might be the vitality, but there'll be little to no lifespan to their new time in the Premier League, in my view. Their squad has little to no Premier League quality players when looking through the roster, so I must place them bottom. Not only that, but obviously moving on to the managerial thing, they have Scott Parker, obviously as manager, one of the two favourites for me in the managerial sack race, who had, as we recall, an atrocious spell with Fulham in the Premier League, getting them relegated. So yeah, I'm going to call AFC Bournemouth finishing 20th, and people can probably guess who I'm going to place 19th, but we'll leave that until we get to that spot.
I'm just going to go in the chat. I'm going to say good evening to the following: Kian, Liz, Elevator and Escalator fan, Yeti Boy, Lovely Hella, Henry Ree Baker. Good evening. Clara and Blue Kid, AVFC, I should say. Good evening. Cedric, good evening. Mike Green, good evening. Bluebird Legend, good evening. So yeah, there's a lot of you in here as well. Remember, you to smash that like button as well. And going to be a very interesting Premier League season as well. Bloody hell, get off the bloody page. Becca's emails coming through at a very reasonable time there, if I can get that off. But there we go. I don't even count Karius as human, says Reece. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Let me just.
Where does he even play now? Where's Karius even play? Where's Karius even play football now?
Turkey, I think.
Yeah, I think it is Turkey. To be fair.
Besiktas, I think he took a team that could actually win titles to nothing.
Yeah, that is true. That is very, very true. What's Helen said here? Sorry, my my computer is going very, very slow tonight. Thank you very much, Liz. Much appreciated. Right, there we go. So we do have. If I can get that bloody off the page.
Doug's very bad on computers here, isn't it? Doug's been
I'm not there.
exposed.
I'm not. I am getting exposed anyway. But right. So I've got 19th Fulham. So right. Give me a wee minute. What I'm going to do is Oh, there we go. It's finally gone off the screen now. Finally. Right. So, 19th place, I have Fulham. So, Nathan, who is in 19th place for you?
Probably the first most controversial prediction of the stream. I've gone for a team newly relegated after spending nearly 10 years in the Premier League now. Main concern, their midfield is just really weak as anything. Had a really poor end to last season. Have been struggling the last few years as well. Starting to slowly climb down the bottom of the table. For me, their manager is 100% getting sacked by the end of the season as well. Haven't really added to it too much either. And every time that they are moving forward for these seasons, their players seem to get worse and worse and worse. Managerial sacking for me coming in around October, November. Not going to improve on that. Probably going to get another Mauricio Pellegrino style manager, and that's why I'm putting Southampton in 19th.
Southampton?
That is bullying.
I thought I was controversial.
That is very, very bold. Indeed. Josh, who have you got for 19th?
I've got Bournemouth. Squad's not really improved. Not really any big star players in that squad. I think, as Nathan will be able to back me up, Bournemouth probably from February onwards in the Championship last season were awful. They were really bad in the Championship last season, and were lucky to go up in the end. Again, probably a strong start helped them. Scott Parker Scott Parker's all about style. He doesn't really coach his team to be strong and strong defensive mentally, and I feel like that's what his Bournemouth team will need.
They are a big game team, to be fair, like we saw in the Championship last year when they played Nottingham Forest. Apart from that, when it's just sort of grinding out league games, they're just a bit meh, and they only win by about 1-0.
They've got no star defenders, goalkeepers average, and they've got real no goal scorers in that team. The goal scorers last season were Dominic Solanke was one of their main goal scorers. He will not score goals in the Premier League, so I just don't see how Bournemouth stay up.
Reece?
Looks like me and Josh are on the same wavelength. I've also went for Bournemouth, but it's purely for the simple reason that I think the only reason they finished slightly ahead of Fulham is luck. Really, like there's nothing else to it. I don't think Bournemouth are actually that good a team. Like, yeah, they've went and done brilliant in the Championship, but I watched a few games at the end of the Championship season. Nathan knows I'm not a big Championship fan, but I will watch it. I did watch it towards the end of the season, and this is a team that got automatic promotion. I was a bit underwhelmed by them, to be honest. But start of the season, they were flying, like they were quality. But I agree with Josh in terms of dropping off. Dominic Solanke, like if that's what you're investing in, like you need to call a mentalist, like because he is not a quality player at all. He ain't even average. Like he's utter crap. I feel sorry for Bournemouth in that sense, but in the sense of it though, I think the only way they could stay up, and I'm not saying they will, but the only way they could stay up is if they somehow add more defenders in. I don't think they necessarily need goals. I think they need defenders more than anything else. They need to try and avoid. They need to try and make their stadium a fortress, and they need to try and be as solid as they can. But I highly doubt it. I think they're going to have one of the highest defences all season in terms of conceding goals. Maybe the second highest behind Leeds.
Wow. And George, I think I know where you're going with this one, but tell me anyway.
Exactly the same as you sort of went on your prediction thing. So Fulham, surprisingly enough as well, when I sort of had a bit of time to myself, I was sort of researching it. I saw that Fulham have never finished last place in the Premier League. They've normally sort of like 19th, 18th when they've gone down. But I'm still tipping them to finish in the second to last spot because of what is obviously a rather mediocre squad. Paulini is a good signing, and a lot will depend on how much they can get from pre-season Pirlo, obviously Andreas Pereira. The final nail in the coffin is Marco Silva as a manager who has a history of getting relegated or leaving clubs in terrible positions after reasonably successful first seasons with them, such as that which he's just had in the Championship. Silva is the other of the two who must be a hot favourite to win a managerial sack race, and his team, I feel certain, will also get relegated at the end of the season. So yeah, I've got them finishing 19th.
Interesting. I just want to put this comment up because I thought it was quite funny. Scott Parker is the managerial equivalent of having a beautiful looking Ferrari that purrs like a cat, but you've forgotten to put it in the feckin' engine. I like that. Chris says here that Fulham can stay up if Mitrovic can get scoring in the Premier League, but they're relying on Mitrovic, too good for the Championship, but atrocious for the Premier League. Yes, I would absolutely agree with that. To be fair, most of you are saying actually 19 for Fulham, which is interesting as well. Oh God, they've got Pereira. Yes, they certainly do. They've got Pereira. Yeah, let's just leave it at that, shall we? Let's just leave it at that. This is interesting because I have 18th, Southampton. I have Southampton in 18th. Now, the reason I have Southampton in 18th, there is only a certain amount of times that you can basically go through a season, get your points, and then play like you're on the beach. This season, I think their squad is bang average at best. And if I'm being honest, the lack of striker is very, very concerning. So for me, Southampton are finishing in 18th.
Even them, though, because you say they've still got decent strikers as well. It's just they just can't make any striker work there. Just the amount they've been through over the last few years. Brosier's gone. It's going to be the end for him for me as well. Like I said earlier,
I think so. Who's your 18th place, Nathan?
My 18th place. I do not like this club. This club does not like me. And why is it? The clubs that I don't like always go for American managers. Leeds United.
Leeds. Oh, interesting. Any reason for Leeds?
Scumbags.
Jesse Marsh as a manager says it all, really. They have adapted to their squad a lot, but they were even poorer than last year. Missing the likes of Calvin Phillips and Rafinha is going to be massive for them. They're irreplaceable for me. Marsh is definitely getting sacked by January, February, and it's going to be bye-bye Leeds. Back to the Championship.
Yeah, to be fair, I'm not convinced as him as a manager, to be honest with you. Not a huge fan at all. Nathan says Leeds United. Josh, who is finishing 18th for you?
High five, Nathan, because I'm in agreement. Leeds to go down as the third relegated side. I think Jesse Marsh, I did a bit more research on Jesse Marsh, and I just do not see this guy everywhere he's gone concedes goals, and I just do not see how he improves this defense. You know, Rafinha is a big goal scoring threat. Brentford, if Patrick Brentford can't stay fit, they don't really have much in attack. They've lost a big
goal scoring threat anyway.
They've lost a big midfielder, and Calvin Phillips. He's a big leader and a big part of leadership. I'm still not convinced by Millier behind that defence. He's a good goalkeeper, but he made a lot of mistakes towards the end of the back end last season, which I feel like I was an area they needed to improve. And I just do not see how Jesse Marsh improves his team. They've lost the core of the team. They've lost their best players. They haven't truly replaced them. And as much as they're good at Ellen Road and they'll pick up points from Ellen Road this season, I think they'll go down. But I do think they'll go down marginally, not by a large amount.
Oh, interesting. Very, very interesting. So that's 2 for Leeds. Reece, who's finishing in 18th for you?
Manky Marsh.
Leeds United as well.
Yeah. Honestly, screw that prick. And I've got a personal vendetta against him. You all know that. I've got a personal vendetta against that scumbag. He's an absolute shit manager. But on the back of it, I think they've made some decent signings, so I have to give, Sinisterra, Tyler Adams, Van Aronson, they're very good signings, but that's not enough. Bamford can't stay fit. Rafinha's a big loss. Calvin Phillips is a big loss. Mellier's dog shit. Robin Koch can't stay fit. Eiling is hit and miss at times. Other than that, what have they really got? Nothing. And they've got a manager that doesn't know the word attack. So, yeah, screw Leeds, screw the lot of them, let them go. Fuck them.
Well, that's quite unanimous so far. I mean, I've got Southampton, George, but the other 3 have got Leeds United. Who's your 18th place?
I'm quite surprised about that, actually, because I thought, obviously, 20th and 19th, I was, expecting that both, Bournemouth and Fulham, and there was going to be a bit of trading there. But obviously, the 18th, I thought there'd be quite a bit of they've got a few different options, because obviously I know you, as I said, I'd watched your stream previously, Doug, and I noticed that a lot of the viewers had said lots of different teams, so I thought there'd be quite a bit of variety. But I've already prepared my little spiel for who I thought was going to go 18th, and surprise, surprise, again, it is Leeds.
Where's Leeds?
I've put here barely scraped not going down last time out, and suffered from a very poor disciplinary record, which again hampers results, as well as severe defensive frailties. Have let go one of their main stars in Calvin Phillips, and have not really sorted their main issue, is shipping in too many shots and resultantly conceding too many goals. Again, there was obviously that mad stat about Melio facing so many shots, and he's obviously, as everyone said, he's a shit keeper. Not only that, but Rafinha is a massive loss, a quality player who contributes not only with goals and assists, but also offered a constant threat, which Leeds will struggle to replace and replicate in the forthcoming season. And I put my final sentence on them was, therefore, they complete my 3 picks to be relegated in 18th place.
Interesting. Yeah. So this is very, very interesting. So I had Southampton and the rest have had Leeds United. It's very interesting. 20th place, obviously you're coming in late. I had Bournemouth. Nathan had Bournemouth. Josh, Fulham. Reece, Fulham. George, Bournemouth. 19th, I had Fulham. Nathan had Southampton. Josh had Bournemouth. Reece had Bournemouth. And George had Fulham. So yeah, this is going to be very, very interesting. Just going to read the comments, obviously, on my phone. Apologies about this, but I don't want us to be here. Don't want us to be here all night. Kane says he has Bournemouth 18th. Hella says Fulham 18th. Henry Ray Baker says 18th Everton. Yeah, boy has Forest in 18th. Yeah, I know why that is. Elevated Escalator fan has also got Southampton in 18th. Chris Wells, Bournemouth shouldn't bother playing any matches this season. They should get their exit quote from the Premier League. A squad of mediocrity that's not good enough to stay up. Yeah, I quite agree. Ings, Brocha, Mane, Long, just to name a few of the strikers Southampton have burned through in recent years. Yeah, I think they're gone this time. Cedric's got Southampton in 18th. The disrespect from Nathan about American managers, says Elevating Escalating fan. Shane O'Donnell's got 18th Southampton as well. Hella has got Leeds in 20th. Who's left in that squad of quality?
Sinistera and Aronson for me are the only. Well, maybe actually not. I really do like Tyler Adams from how he played at Leipzig, so that's it. Just the 3 of them.
Yeah, definitely. 18th Leeds United. Chris Wells lost key players, replaced them with unproven Premier League players, which is a risk. And Marsh's Bielsa's long lost brother. I agree. Hella, you could say United will be taking many leads this season. Oh dear. Southampton 18th, I think with the way they played last season, they were poor, lucky not to lose 9-0 to Chelsea. And on the last day when they faced Liverpool, they will lose 9-0 and that will send them down. That is very wishful thinking, to be honest. Elevator Escalator fan has got Leeds, I think, or 20th. Yeah, of course. What's with the language? Michael Talks Football, thank you very much for the super chat. Sinistra, remember the name for Leeds, #Yanks. Tell us how you really feel, Reece. Swearing like a trooper, it's Leeds, allow it. Does George need new batteries? My bottom 3 says Kian is Fulham, Everton, and Bournemouth. Everybody says Leeds will do a Burnley, finish 17th season before the next season they're 18th. What the fuck? Football Shorts, join my Fantasy Premier League code. We will do that later.
Yeah, I've just put that comment in. Yeah, Football Shorts one.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that later as well. So, 17th, I have Everton. Now, there is a reason for this. Frank Lampard is an absolute disgrace of a manager. He is absolutely clueless. He puts his players under the bus. And their transfer business this summer is just absolutely baffling. James Tarkowski on a fee from Burnley. Dwight McNeil, he's only scored 1 goal, assisted 0. They're getting Idrissa Gana Gueye back. You're supposed to be looking forward, not going backwards. I'm sorry, but Everton are an absolute shambles from top to bottom. So for me, Everton are just going to survive by the skin of their teeth. Everton 17th. Nathan?
I've gone for a slightly surprising one. I've gone for Brentford for 17th. I think they can have a little bit of second season syndrome. I don't think Ivan Toney is going to be prolific as last year, especially if he does get injured.
Well, there's a reason for that.
Yes. They've lost Christian Eriksen, as well as everyone probably knows. And just, I don't know. There's just something about it where I just think they can have a slightly worse season than last year and probably will just survive by the skin of their teeth.
Interesting. Josh, who have you got 17th?
Yeah, this is a really difficult one because I feel like a lot of these teams, maybe these next few places, have a lot of similarities about them. So trying to split them, it comes down to the fine margins. So, 17th, I'm going to go for Southampton. I do think Southampton do have a bang average squad. I've watched a few of their pre-season games. I know you don't take much from pre-season, but I just don't see quality in that team at all. But I don't think Hasenhuttl will get sacked. I think he'll keep them up. Southampton do normally get a good run of results throughout the season, and those are normally enough to keep you up. I don't think he's bad enough to go down. I don't think that squad's bad enough to go down. Some of the signs have me like Joe Alberto from Rangers, or they're decent signings. That they could shine in the Premier League. So I think Southampton will struggle. Will be enough for Hasenhuttl to go. Probably will go at some point in the season, but I just don't think they're as bad as the other three teams below them to go down.
Mm-hmm. Interesting, Reece.
I've got the live chat on the phone. I'm watching it, and I've got the exact same as Maisie. I've got Southampton in 17th, to be honest. I think, and I'm saying this in the sense of, in terms of who they've brought in, I think Bazzano is actually a very smart sign, and even though he did play for Portsmouth, he actually does command his box. He does clear comfort crosses. He is very vocal from his line. Obviously, me and Doug had this exact conversation today. With that exact same conversation.
Was he not the under-23 goalkeeper for City as well?
Under-23 goalkeeper as well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Lavia though. Like, they don't play a system with a defensive midfielder, so I don't understand that signing. I think Joe Rebo, to an extent, does make a little bit of sense, but on the other side, doesn't. He does press the ball really well. He's a fantastic player, but he doesn't press in a system that the likes of the Austrians and the Germans play. That's not what he's about. But he still gets you goals. He still gets you assists. He puts in a hell of a shift. And if you haven't seen that solo goal, they should give that the Puskás goal already. Like, that's how good it was. Like, it was that good of a goal. But on the circumstance of it, though, I do think, and I am saying this is Hasenhutl's last season as manager. I think he will walk at the end of next season. And then next season, I am going Southampton to finish relegated as of the following season. Not this season coming, the next coming season. This is Southampton's last season in the Premier League for me. 17th.
Ooh, interesting. Right, a bit of a difference of opinion. Everyone's gone for... Actually, no, two have gone for Southampton. I've gone for Everton. And not even wrote Nathan's name there. So give me a minute. George, who's your 17th?
Just very quickly, I'd like to preface this by sort of agreeing with what Josh said, which is that there are quite a few teams I feel like my bottom three I'm quite secure with, but then I feel like there's about 3 or 4 or 5 teams that are all very interchangeable, and they're sort of like middle to lower part of the table.
Yeah.
And I have gone relatively conservative and pragmatic with my choice, and I know it's obviously a team that none of you guys have mentioned yet, and we've probably all gone a bit slightly higher. But I've gone for Nottingham Forest.
That's bold.
I've said, obviously, they're my pick for the promoted side to stay up. They've shown numerous times, as we know, in the FA Cup, they've got real Premier League giant killing capabilities. As European cup-winning club, they're a big club back in the big time for the first time since '99, and in my opinion, will stay there. Not only do they not fear any side, something which Brentford and Leeds in recent seasons used to great effect to stay up in their first season in the Premier League, but they've also made some great signings. Dean Henderson obviously showed with Sheffield United what he can do for a side, and Jesse Lingard will no doubt turn into Messi Lingard when the pressure is fully off him and he has space to utilise. So the 17th spot might be a tad too conservative, and they may look to finish higher, but pragmatically, I have them finishing just safe and content with their lot compared to their fellow Championship promoted sides, of course, who had relegated.
Interesting, right. Yachty Boy has Leeds in 17th. Hella's got Everton in 17th. Shane O'Donnell, Everton as well. Hello, Maisie. Hope you're good. 17th, Everton. 17th, Southampton, says Maisie. Chris Wells, 17th, Southampton. It will survive by the skin of their teeth, but I can see Hasenhuttl walking. He'll be looking over their shoulders this season. I was going to say Forest, but I know how shit Everton have been recently. Kane Dolan, who have Everton got? Dele Alli, rubbish. T-Rex, naff. Seamus Coleman, love the guy, but he's 107. Calvert-Lewin, nope. My predictions are the miss relegation: Fulham 20th, 19th Leeds, and 18th Bournemouth, says Maisie. Got the same Maisie, same 3 Maisie, just in a different order. I think it'll be a 4-horse relegation in terms of who finishes 18th, in my opinion. Rennie, I honestly could not tell you about Maddison. I think that's definitely up in the air. There seems to be, I think there's a 50 million bid now that's gone in. I don't know if Leicester can say no to that, to be honest.
No, I agree.
I think you might be losing them, to be honest with you. So my 16th is Leeds United. I just think the way that they defended last season, something in the back of my mind is saying that they're staying up. I don't know what, but for me, I just think that they are better than the teams below them. I got Everton. Everton are an absolute mess at the moment. So yeah, I am actually going to go for Leeds United to stay up, and I don't know why I predicted that, but there we go. Nathan, who is your 16th place?
I think I'm the only one who's predicted them to stay up, and that is Fulham. Main reason, Marco Silva alluded that he's actually going to use Mitrovic this season. If you can get him gelling with the service that he had in particular from Harry Wilson last season, then I think they are going to just do great. I think if it works with Bobby Reid just behind them, which they did rely on a little bit too much in the Premier League season prior, then I reckon Mitrovic he'll be on about 12 to 15 goals for me. I think they'll have a much better season, but me having them to stay up is provisional, providing they get rid of Marco Silva.
Interesting. Josh?
So number 16, I have gone with Nottingham Forest. I think Nottingham Forest will do. I think Steve Cooper is an incredible manager. I'm probably going to be stopped for this, but I think when you look at the Chris Wilder did with Leeds United, I feel like Steve Cooper's done a similar job where he took a squad that no one predicted to go up, found a system that stood at them, and it just became a really good team. And also their home record is just incredible. I feel like I've kind of learned from these last few seasons that these new predicted teams that come up, the underdogs, not the ones that finish first and second, the ones that come up in the playoffs, are the underdogs, and they're not to be underestimated. I have underestimated Sheffield United and Brentford in previous seasons. I feel like Steve Cooper's got the system, they've got the squad. I think their home record is going to keep them up. I don't think their squad is on the same caliber as the previous two teams for them to get a high enough finish. Because before Steve Cooper got hired, Nottingham Forest were nowhere near the playoffs. So I feel like they'll do well. I feel like they'll stay up, probably stay up by at least 6-7 points. And for once, I'm not predicting the playoff team to get relegated, which is very rare for me. So if it's the one time I'm wrong, I will generally just stop predicting.
Reece?
16th. I'm just looking at the live chat, and all I'm going to say is Shane O'Donnell wins controversial comment of the night. He's went Wolves. Wow. That's all I'm going to say. Wow.
Wow.
I respect that, but Jesus Christ. A lot of people have actually said the same prediction as me, actually. So has Josh. I've also gone for Nottingham Forest. I don't expect them to do a lot, though. Like, awful lot. I think they'll get like maybe 38, 39 points. Like, that's generally what I'm thinking this season in terms of the league. I don't think the league's going to be decided on a lot of big points this year, and I'm standing by that. Even like the Premier League title winner will be 91 points.
Yeah.
But in terms of like this position, Forest, I think they will just scrape it just above Southampton by a couple of points, but they'll be enough to survive. I've got them. They made some decent signings, but it's still a lot of change. I think some of that core squad is an issue, but they've got a few Premier League proven players in there, like Lingard. Even though he's on 200 grand a week, I think that's a bit bizarre. But he's Premier League proven. He'll still get them some goals if he plays them in his attacking midfield position. He'll get them crucial goals. Henderson, he's a decent goalkeeper. If he really wants to prove himself going forward, this is a big challenge for him because it is a club that's won European trophies. This is a club that has a big fan base, a respected fan base, a proud history. Obviously, them being the Premier League in 23 years, I think this is a big step for him if he really wants to prove his mind at goalkeeper going forward. It's key for him.
Just on that note with Dean Henderson, and I bring to George's long. If anybody actually read George's 100-worded thread tweet on David De Gea, I think this is a big season for Dean Henderson because David De Gea has struggled in pre-season so far under Ten Hag. He has developed style, and I think if Dean Henderson proves himself at Sheffield and Nottingham Forest this year,
I agree.
He could very well be the number one keeper for Manchester United next year. Because I do see De Gea's been extremely exposed this season, but I'll talk about Manchester United later on.
I agree. That's why I expect great seasons from both, like on a different expectation. One of them's got to prove himself. The other's got to prove he can keep his position. That's why I think it's going to be a really good season for both. That's why I have Forest getting 16th.
Interesting, George.
Very similar to you, really, on the next pick of mine, Doug, in terms of having Everton, doing very poorly this season. I've sort of said as it currently stands, albeit with the remainder of August to go, Everton, who only narrowly scraped survival last season, have not made any very significant purchases, and again look very likely to undergo another season of strife. The club have wasted so much money on a squad that is very bereft on real quality, and I foresee another very ominous season ahead. They will also be relying on Frank Lampard as manager, the equivalent of trusting Stevie Wonder as your taxi driver. But they always seem to manage to stay buoyed by their amazing supporters carrying them over the line. So a 16th place, a couple of spots above safety is my prediction for their place in the forthcoming season.
Right, interesting. Hella's got Forest 16th. Keane says, I go Forest 16th, but that's only because I don't watch them enough to the Championship to be well informed on them. I think the 4 clubs I have below them are much worse. 16th Leeds, I have them bottom, says Elevator. 16th Ugly Forest, says Rennie. 16th for me was Everton. 16th for Henry Fulham. Elevator has 16 Fulham. Shane has Wolves. That's very controversial. To be fair, we're in the rubbish part of the table for predictions. It's easy enough to get at least 2 of the bottom 3 right, and the top 7 are usually good, but otherwise it's a nightmare. Yeah, definitely. Forest have signed 20 players. They have no chance. Carl's in. Good evening, Carl. Good to see you back in action. Yeah, I hope you're okay after your wee eye up. I hope you're okay. Hi, Carl. How's the eye? And he has hit Hey Yeti. So 15th place. I have Forest. I think that they have made some very good signings, but my worry is, have they made too many signings? That would be my main worry. I hope they haven't done a Fulham and pissed money up the wall. But for me, I think Forest have got a good manager under Steve Cooper, and I think they will be absolutely fine. So, 15 for me, Nottingham Forest. Nathan, who have you got on 15?
For me, I've played it safe with this prediction. I have gone for the absolute ceiling for this side, and it all depends on if they sack their manager, like I've said many times before, and that is Everton. No real quality over the entirety of the squad. It's just a bit meh. And as everyone said, Frank Lampard as manager. What experience does he have in a relegation battle? Zilch.
Yeah, I agree. George's light's gone off there. Josh, who have you got on 15th? Sorry.
I'm agreeing. I'm going to go with Everton. I think Everton will not be in as much danger as they were last season. Yes, they've lost for Charlton, and maybe their signs have not been great, but their record at Goodison Park is still really, really good. Goodison Park is a very difficult place. That's where they've got most of their points last season. I feel like that gives them the edge over some of the other teams. I feel like they've got some decent attacking players who can, cause a bit of fun and get them some goals throughout the season. I don't think they're going to be anything special. I don't think they're going to be in front of getting relegated either. Frank Lampard, I don't see him lasting the season, unfortunately. All it takes is Everton to get one little small run. The fans will turn on them, and when the Everton fans turn on them, there's no back. And I do see that happening with them because, as I said, they're not going to be anything special, but they're not going to be in any front of getting relegated. So I think Everton will be okay. I know Liverpool fans would love to see them go down, but I don't see that happening.
No, I don't see it happening either, to be honest with you. Reece, who have you gone 15th?
Well, originally, and this is not a joke, originally I had Brighton 15th and I had Everton 12th.
Oh, wow.
But I've made a switch. I have, for this one, I've actually went back, I've actually switched around, so I've actually swapped a few teams around, so I've actually gone for Everton. The reason I had Everton 12th originally is because I was actually thinking they may actually prove a lot of people wrong. Not because they've got a twat as a manager, but they've actually got some decent players in there. They might actually do something. But then I remember who they've got in charge. So that's why I had to flip them. So Everton 15th. I'm not overly convinced unless they make a few things happen. One, tactical switch. They need to change that system up. I don't think they're good enough to play a back four. 2, they need to play Nathan Patterson properly.
Yeah.
And 3, they need to play a back 3. They're not good enough to play a back. They're not good enough to play a back 4. Nathan Patterson needs to get proper game time because he's their best fullback. Seamus Coleman's finished as a football player, and I think they're only good enough to play back 3 because Tarkowski, I think, is a reason. I know you were going on about him earlier on. I think Tarkowski's actually, it makes sense. It's an Everton type signing. Like, he is a brute, he is aggressive, and they are actually quite decent with English centre backs, apart from, well, Michael Keane. But other than that, I do think they can play better in a back 3 than they can be a back 4 unless they find some sort of solidity. If they're going to play a back 4, they need to play 4-4-2. Sorry to 4-4-2 haters in the chat. If they're going to play a back 3, they need to play that. But the one thing I will say is Calvert-Lewin needs to have his head screwed on this season. Dele Alli needs to remember what a football is. And lastly, they need to keep Andre Gomez fit. They need to keep Gomez fit because they've lost their best player in Richarlison as well. That's another big thing. So, 15th, but skin of their teeth.
And George?
So for 15th, I think I'm probably the person that's got them finishing the highest out of the panel. I've gone for Southampton. I think I've just sort of put Hassan Hutters really seems to have hit his limit at Southampton, and there's a certain sense of him treading water, not helped by the fact the club refuses to properly back him in the market, which again you sort of mentioned about anyway as well, Doug, about specifically like strikers as well. And I've sort of they often seem to struggle for goals. James Ward-Prowse needs to continue his scoring form as he was their top Premier League scorer last season. And when a midfielder is your top scorer, it says all you need to know about guaranteed striking goal threat or lack of it. Southampton can take points off anybody, as we saw last season, remaining unbeaten versus Man City in the league. But they can also be horrendously bad, going on terrible losing streaks. There is a possibility they could be dragged into the relegation mire, but I'm predicting they'll remain just to clear a few places safe in 15th position.
Okay. In terms of the comments, Carl says he's paying 3, so that's much better. That's good to hear. Rennie's going 15th Brighton. They'll be struggling with it, Basuma. Do you guys have a better forfeit on these predictions? No, we don't actually. We might think of something after the show. Fulham will get relegated, says Big Man. Mark my words. Quality signs like Solomon, Leno, Mbabu, Paulinho will keep them up. Shane's gone 15th Leeds. Hella's gone 15th Brentford. As is Kian. As is Henry. As is Maisie. Big Man's gone Fulham in 15th. A lot of us agreeing on 15th in the chat. This is where I have Nottingham Forest 15th. Their signs will break through. Nico Williams is class. And like I said, they have more UEFA Champions Leagues than Man City, Atletico, and PSG combined. That is very, very true. Yachty Boy says he had Everton in 12th as well. Hello, Gary. Hope you're good. Everton have a lot of silly nicknames. Neverton and Tonever. That's funny. If Frank goes on a run of poor performances, we all know he'll turn into a moody grump and start blaming everyone but himself. I've seen more stupid fashion articles of Calvert-Lewin wearing wanky clothes than I've seen him score goals in the last 12 months. He thinks he knows how to coach a team. Frankie's totally blind. Gary's going 15th Wolves, and Yeti Boy has Brentford in 15th. So we'll move on to 14th, and my 14th is Brentford's. I have to say I have Brentford a lot higher than you guys do, if I'm being honest. And the reason is I think they haven't lost many. I know they've lost Ericsson, but they've still got the bulk of their squad. They've still got David Raya, who I think is going to be massive. Ben Mee is a fantastic signing, very, very experienced at the back. And I think Brentford will be fine. I think there will be a bit of second season syndrome in there, but I think they're good enough to stay in this league. So I'm going to go, I think 14th Brentford. I think they're just going to fall a place this season. Nathan?
Bit of a controversial one, I think. No, I'm going to get some heat in the comments about this, but 14th have gone for the football hipsters in Brighton. Losing Cucurella, he's going to Chelsea. They've lost Basuma as well. That is two very key players going out of their squads. Pascal Gross isn't getting any younger. Lewis Dunk and Shane Duffy at the back, as you know, always does concern me. If Lamperty stays fit, then maybe they can push up a little bit more. And then apart from that, going forward up front, they're just not getting enough out of Mope in an actual decent striker that they have. And if they do end up bringing in another striker, I don't think that they're going to be as prolific as anyone expects them to be. So I think it's going to be another underwhelming season for Brighton. But to be fair, 14th, if they would have had it 10 years ago, they would have ripped your hand off. So that's all I'll say about them.
Josh?
If you see me looking at the screen, I'm watching the Watford Sheffield United game, but people think I'm looking at the screen funny. I'm actually with Nathan. I'm going to go with Brighton at 14th. All right, first of all, this is the part of the table where it's a flip of a coin if you're going to get it right or not. If you get 3 mid-table places right, you're literally a prediction god. I think Brighton hit their ceiling last season. I think Brighton did very well. They probably could have just been fighting for a European place if they didn't go on such a terrible run towards the end of the season, where I think they lost 8 or 9 games in a row. They've lost a few. They could lose a key player left back. They've lost a key midfielder. Still not too convinced about their goal scoring options. I think they'll be completely fine, but I don't see them doing as well as last season. I do think they were figured out towards the end of last season. I don't really see how much more they have to adapt and offer to go on another good high place finish next season. So I think the table is exactly where Brighton will be. But Brighton's aim at every season to stay in the Premier League, and they're going to do that. So that'll be a successful season for them.
Interesting, Reece.
14th. I've gone for Brighton as well. Actually, I think. Yeah, everyone knows my agenda against Brighton. I don't think they're a good football team, but they've got a decent manager at least. I do look at who they've got in terms of like outgoings. Like I don't think it's too bad a loss on Bissouma. And the reason I say that is because Caicedo's still a fantastic midfielder. I think the biggest loss for them is Cucurella. For me, Cucurella was quite possibly the best left back in the Premier League last year. A natural left back, not like Cancelo, who's just the best complete fullback. Just the overall best left back for me in the Premier League last year was Marc Cucurella. I think he was absolutely fantastic, especially on the defensive side. He was very good at left wing back. And he was also really good in the sense of playing as left centre back. Like, he just knows what he's doing. Like, he's a really good player, and I think that's a massive loss. You can't replace that. And I'm just looking at it in general. I don't see anything else really for Brighton. They don't score a lot of goals. When you've got Danny Welbeck up front, like, you're finished. They rely too much on Trossard. His injury record keeps getting worse. I can't remember who they've got in midfield, unless they're all DJs and hipsters. I don't see anything. So, yeah, Brighton for me, 14th.
George?
So exactly the same as you, Doug. I've got Brentford finishing 14th. Just my sort of comments on them were they obviously did extremely well last season, over and above my personal expectations, which saw them getting 18th and being relegated. There is a possibility of them suffering second season syndrome, which I know obviously you mentioned on your individual stream, Doug. And they have lost a key player in Christian Eriksen, obviously, to Manchester United, who was integral in their points accrual on the spring to avoid spiralling into the relegation zone off the back of some atrocious form, obviously, which was in the middle of their season. And then a bit very similarly, obviously, to what you sort of said, I put, however, Ivan Toney remains at the club. And when you have a proven goal scorer, it's one of the most integral aspects for any Premier League side. Obviously, as the adage goes, goals win games. And I feel that will see them nestling nicely in the lower mid-table position, well clear of the relegation dogfight, much as they were last season.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Kane.
I've just seen that. That's making me laugh.
That's funny. Barcelona have hijacked the deal for Cucurella, offering 3 peanuts and a bauble. I like that. When Reece looks down, he seems to disappear. It's freaking me out, says Liz.
I was just rewriting the predictions, obviously, because I've made a few changes.
Right, okay. Like and share the stream where Douglas starts with the dad jokes. Yep, that is very, very true. So 14th, Leicester, says Henry. Southampton, 14th, says Hella. 14th, Brentford, says Shane. 14th, Leeds, says Rennie. 14th, Wolves, says Yeti Boy. Kane's got Southampton 14th. I have Southampton 14th. To be fair, this looks a tad optimistic, and I appreciate the points the panel have made, probably due to revision, but I can't be arsed, so don't worry, there's worse to come. Brentford are 14th for me. Solid signs. They will start on the beach. They'll sit 20th for Christmas, but then they bounce back after the Liverpool game and start gaining form and finish 14th. Interesting. Brian can finish wherever they like as long as they beat United 4-0 again. 14th Forest, says Maisie. And 14th Villa, says Keeping It Tune YouTube. Very, very interesting. Now, unlucky 13. So I've got Wolves. I think they're going to have a little bit of a fall off this season, and it's mostly because of Jimenez is injured. Jimenez is injured again, and there is talk they could be potentially getting Christian Benteke as a potential replacement, which just doesn't suit me at all.
That's like me, making a fresh pizza and then deciding to go to shop and buy a 1 pound pizza for like a frozen pizza. It's just not the same thing. It is an absolute waste of money.
It is a waste of money. Yeah, Nathan, who have you got in 13th, mate?
Highest out of everyone put in this size, and for me, they're going to be the highest finishing newly promoted side and probably one of the highest performing newly promoted sides since Wolves in 18-19, and I've gone for Nottingham Forest. Absolutely amazing signings. I think Nico Williams is going to light up the Premier League this season. Brendan Johnson, Ben Davis, I believe, went there as well, if that's correct. Or am I wrong on that?
Dane O'Donnell agrees with you, by the way.
Ignore everything that I just said there. Loads of their players are going to absolutely light up the Premier League. Some great signings under a great manager. Can't believe I'm saying that. Steve Cooper. He's a Cardiff fan, all right. He's a Cardiff fan. Yeah. I think they're going to have a great season. And in fact, I could have put them higher, Forest. They are going to surprise a lot of people this season.
I think so. Guys, we have an absolute record of people watching the podcast. We've got 144 watching. If you are watching, please consider liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. We are getting very, very close to 2K. We could potentially reach it tonight. Josh, who have you got on 13th?
Brentford. Ben Mee's a fantastic signing. He'll give them big Premier League experience that they've desperately needed, especially for someone who, played in a very, rigid system to stay in their lives. I think they signed a good goalkeeper from Lazio. Chelsea were looking into him a fair bit before Mandy. I think he's a decent goalkeeper.
He's not.
I think he is a good goalkeeper.
You're on crack. Strakosha's one of the worst goalkeepers in Serie A.
He'll prove you wrong.
No, he won't.
He will. Don't worry. I'll be smarter when that happens. I think they've got enough about them. Christian Garrison is a big. I think Christian Garrison's a big loss, but I feel like they'll work a way around it. I feel like defensively they'll be strong with them.
189 now, Doug.
And I feel like they'll score enough goals. For me, I think they'll do fair enough. I think mid-team is exactly what I will be.
Yeah, Reece, who have you got in 13th?
Well, first of all, he's on crack. Because I watched Serie A. Strakosha's worst previous campaigns were the last 3 years. He's completely dropped off. They've got a goalkeeper that can actually play like a sweeper in David Raya, who actually clears his box. Strakosha is what everyone calls De Gea. He's deglued. Strakosha does not leave his box. He's utter crap. Why do you think David Ospina is the number one for that club? Think about it. God almighty. He's utter crap. For me, 13th, Doug already knows who this is. 13th for me is Leicester City. Here
we go.
And I've numerous reasons. One, Brendan Rodgers mentally is not in it. I think he's mentally checked out. Two, they're relying heavily on players that are aging, that don't have any real depth in the squad, and Maddison will get injured. Vardy will get injured. Patson Daka hasn't lived up yet, although I do think he's a good player. Iñárritu, not good enough. I'm not convinced by the rest of their defence, apart from maybe Fofana and James Justin. Have they got anybody in goal other than Kasper Schmeichel? Or is he left? I don't see enough for Leicester. Ward, he's decent, but I don't think he's enough for them in terms of the Premier League, with all due respect. I honestly think you're going to see Leicester drop at the top 10. They aren't good enough for me, and I'm standing by it. And that's the end of it, really. That's just the end of it.
Wow. I knew that was coming, but goodness me. That's because
I told you at work.
I have to say, that is bold. That is bold saying that. George, who have you got for unlucky 13?
Yeah, I've got to say that was quite a surprising one from Reece. He is right, though, especially about this sort of squad. There are some real concerns, especially obviously with Vardy as well, because he's been such a source of goals for them. But obviously, he's now aging, and sooner or later, his sort of magic well is going to run dry. But for 13th, I have got Crystal Palace. I've sort of said it's Vieira's second season in charge of and he's performed fantastically well in his first season, as we know. He was someone that we all thought, I think, well, a lot of us thought, anyway, myself included, that he was potentially going to get the sack. So he's achieved there as well. And then, Palace always pick up lots of points and will cement their place once more in the mid-table echelons in the forthcoming season. And then I sort of spoke again about their younger players who've got even more experience and honed their skills. Zaha remains their figurehead, but Vieira is really building something. The two new players they've actually brought in, Corey and Richards, are both 22 years of age. And that shows the changing of the guard as they transition slowly from the very aging squad that was under Roy Hodgson, because I think that was a real... I think a lot of people maybe had Palace sort of drifting towards the relegation zone when Hodgson was leaving because obviously there was no investment and there were so many elderly players, but they really are just, moving forward and trusting in youth. And obviously, as you mentioned in your individual stream, Douglas, they've got so many potential prodigies in their ranks. So they're definitely going to be safe. And as I've said, I've got them in 13th.
Interesting. There we go. Right. So some people here. Oops, my chat is starting to go up very, very quickly. So keep here we go. Rennie has got Brentford as 13th. Hell has gone Brighton. That's interesting. Henry's got Wolves, same as me. Liz saying Leicester 13th is bold. Wolves in the weeds makes my husband sad. I kind of like it. 30th is Palace. Every season they've been in the Premier League since they came back up, whenever it was. They've got points totals in the 40s, boring but consistent. Wolves for Elevator Escalator fan. Palace for keeping it to YouTube. Very, very interesting. Very, very interesting indeed.
Doug, I'm scared by the number. There's 366 people watching right now.
I know. That's mental. Absolutely mental. Thank you to everyone who's obviously tuned in this evening. And we are at 12th place. My 12th place is Brighton and Hove Albion. I think they are going to fall ever so slightly. They still don't have a recognised goal scorer. That is what really, really worries me, is when they don't have a recognised goal scorer. Cucurella looks like he's going to go. Basuma's gone. I think if they lost Caicedo, that might be a little bit concerning. But I can't see them losing Caicedo, but I have to say, for me, I think Brighton are going to fall ever so slightly. Nathan, who have you got in 12th?
12th place, controversial one. I have gone for Leicester City. Hear me out. I say this every year.
So watch me, but you've got them in 12th. Watch this.
Yes. Well, my reasoning. Jamie Vardy, I say this every year, but this year is going to be... He's going to have not the best of season. It's going to be his last year, really, as that top player. I don't think he's going to score too much, and I think he will get injured as well. Looks like Maddison, considering Newcastle's improved off to £50 million, it looks like he is going to go there as well. Kasper Schmeichel is on his way to the conveyor belt of former Cardiff City players on their way to OG Nice. So it means that Danny Ward will have to step up in goal. I think he's going to do a great job, but he's sort of that mid-table Premier League player, of course. Needs something, a little bit of spark to keep with Tielemans in midfield as well. Defence, if it can stay fit, will keep them at that level. But at the end of the day, I think it is going to be a bit of a disappointing season for the Foxes this year.
Yeah, I think so as well, for sure. Josh, who have you gone 12th?
I promised me and Nathan we're not doing this before the start of the stream, but I also agree with Nathan. I've got Leicester City finished in 12th.
Wow.
In my opinion, I feel Brendan Rodgers has been hanging on for a thread. I don't think the squad are buying into his style of play, and nor do I really think he's started into the job as much as he was when he first joined. If they lose James Maddison, that's a big goal for it. That's a big playmaker goal. Jimmy Vardy, I think the age may start to show, and Jimmy Vardy just can't keep doing it on a consistent basis. If Schmeichel leaves, that's a big part of their dressing room goal, which is when someone like that leaves the dressing room, making effective players. I just think last year just been going down, and with I don't think they've signed anyone, have they? If my memory's right, I don't actually think they've signed.
They haven't signed anyone. No.
Haven't signed anybody.
I just don't see where the positivity comes from. Even look, they obviously lost Lookman, who's a big player, and they didn't get him back. So I just don't see where the positivity is for Leicester. They're not going to get relegated, but they're definitely not going to be fighting for European football.
Yeah, Reece, who have you got for 12th place?
Good old Brentford.
Yay!
Wow.
I have Brentford in 12th. Like, there's just something about them. Yeah, they've lost Ericsson. He's came to a real club, but in the grounds of it, I see George like that one. Obviously, I still think they've got a decent squad, and I think their manager's a bit of a prick. But I still think overall, they're a decent team. It's just they do need to add a little bit, but there's just something about them that I just like as a neutral. And there's 500 people watching. Please stop. It's quite scary. Just kidding. I'm just kidding. But overall, there's just something about them that I really do like. And you know what? Brentford in 12 just seems right to me. And my next three are going to shock you. That's all I'm going to say.
Oh, interesting. George, who have you got for 12th?
Yeah, first of all, I'm just going to say that it's quite unfair really on Reece, because he took all that flack for what he did with Leicester City, and then you've got both Josh and Nathan literally
exactly
place higher. So it's literally no, as Josh sort of mentioned, they're all sort of interchangeable. So it's very sort of it's quite unfair really on Reece. But yeah, I've gone 12th, same as you, Doug, which was Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah.
Obviously, Potter's always done a fantastic job with Brighton, but they have lost Bassoon to Spurs, who was a key driving force in the midfield, and obviously a bit similarly to what Reece sort of said, likely losing player of the season, Cucurella, who was agitating for a move to Manchester City. But obviously, when I wrote this, I didn't realise there was also potential at Chelsea. Now going to be have now entered the race as well for him. So, but that would be a big loss if he leaves, which I think he probably will, because all the sort of noises that he will look to try and force through a move to a bit bigger team, I should say. But I've said, Potter always performs well, no matter the lack of funds he has, and the players follow his philosophy to the letter. Again, they do suffer from inconsistency at periods during a season, which obviously Josh mentioned earlier about a real horrible losing streak they had as well. And again, I think Nathan sort of mentioned this as well about the goal conversion rate remains a worry. But a 12th place finish would still be a good achievement considering the shoestring budget which they operate on. So yeah, Brighton 12th.
Shane's got Palace in 12th. Yachty Boy's got Man United in 12th. I don't know where you're getting that idea from.
He's repaying Reece for what we said about Leicester.
Oh yeah, that's true. Hella's got Leicester in 12th. Rennie's got Villa in 12th. Oliver's got Aston Villa 12th. So's Kian. So's Henry. And I think that's it for 12th place. As well, Webby W19, thank you very much for the super sticker, my friend. Fist bump. Boop, boop, boop. Fist bump, absolutely. Yeah, guys, there are 519 of you watching. If you haven't already, please hit the like button and please hit that subscribe button as well. Absolutely amazing numbers this evening. So thank you very, very much as well. So we go on to 11th place. We're getting very, very close. So the one team to just miss out in the top 10, I have Aston Villa. Yeah, I think Gerrard is under a lot of pressure this season, especially with some of the signs he's made. Kamara, Diego Carlos. Look, I don't really rate Diego Carlos. I think he's a little bit of a hothead, and I think the pace of the Premier League might be a little bit too much for him as well. They have signed Robin Olsen permanently and Felipe Coutinho as well. So for me, I think Villa will be absolutely fine, but just missing out on the top 10 for me. So yeah, 11th Aston Villa. Nathan, who have you got for 11th?
For me, 11th place, I go for Crystal Palace. Zaha, he's got that star quality there on the wing to get goals developed, create the chances, of course, especially when he's got the likes of Elise, Eberechi Eze as well, who's turning into a real class player. And just real strength all over the pitch there as well at Crystal Palace. Vieira, superb manager. Everyone had their doubts about him last season, but this year he's going to be absolutely superb yet again. For me, they just need a number 9. Not Christian Benteke, someone who can actually score goals week in, week out. And they're going to really push up the table if they do so. But another exciting season coming up for Crystal Palace.
Interesting, Josh.
Honestly, Nathan, I don't know what's going on here now again. Same as you, I've got Crystal.
You've been watching BBL videos.
This has generally not been. I've not watched any prediction videos, so this is Australia, Crystal Palace. I feel like they'll improve. They'll continue to do well. It's still a really young squad. You know, again, it's mid-table. It's a flip of a coin. You know, they could be a bit higher, they could be a bit lower, but they'll definitely be in the bouts there. And I feel like Crystal Palace will call all of up the bigger teams this year. I feel like out of any of the teams in the league who you would always consider the underdog in the big games, I think Crystal Palace might be the one that gives them the shock results out of all the other mid-table teams this year.
Right, go on, Reece. You said your next three will shock you, so who's in 11th?
Wolves.
Ooh.
That's not controversial. I don't think that's controversial.
No, I don't think that's gone too controversial.
Dropping out the top 10 for a team that's been regular the past couple of years, for me, I think it kind of is.
It's probably their worst. It's probably their worst squad. Low out of those last few years.
Yeah, the only reason I have them there is last season he was in my team of the season for the best goalkeeper. This year, I think he's not going to have a good year. I think Sa's going to have quite a poor season because the expectation of himself, I think, will be a bit too much for him.
Yeah.
The system will be the same, so it's going to be found out. The midfield is aging plus Ruben Neves. I'm not sure where his head's at. It's going to be like Harry Kane in a similar fashion. Like, he wants his big move, but he's not going to get it. So I do think he's not going to have a great season. Up front, Traore is going to be involved. So there's a reason for 11th as well.
Yeah.
I'm just not overall convinced that they're going to have a good season, and I'll be surprised if anyone has them fighting for Europe. I'll be very surprised because I don't think they're going to have a good season. I think Bruno Lage, he'll still be in his job. I think they'll have a bad season, but then they'll bounce back the following year. But it's just I'm just not so sure really that Wolves will stay in the top 10. So yeah, I have them finishing 11th. Yeah.
Interesting, George.
It's quite funny actually because that's not a controversial pick, Reece. Because guess who I have in 11th?
Yeah.
I'm actually saving you here as well. I've got Wolves 11th.
Good man.
For my little spiel about them, that I had predicted them 9th last season, and they almost succeeded. Narrowly picked to 9th place post by Brighton on goal difference. Despite having multiple players linked away as they do every summer, it seems they will likely hold on to them and lead to another strong showing. Again, obviously, I think Martinho's been linked away, and obviously Neves, as Reece has said as well. But I think Neves is probably going to be priced out, I think, again. So I think he will likely stay. But Wolves will always grind out results. They're such a difficult team to break down. But again, they can struggle for that killer instinct and goals, which would lead them to a higher finish. Obviously, Wang Hee-chan, whom they've now signed permanently, could fire them higher, and they're hoping he does. Now that he's fully bedded into the league, but the guaranteed goal threat as an overall team is still lacking. Obviously, again, you sort of mentioned a few of the different people as well, Doug, in your individual stream. That there's no real guaranteed goals. I think a lot of them, they have a lot of flair players, a lot of players that are lovely to watch, but they're just not proven goal scorers. So yeah, 11th place for Wolves, same as Reece.
Interesting, right? Rennie's got 11th for United. That ain't happening. Hella's got Palace 11th. Shane has got 11th Brighton, as is Henry. I think 11th is plausible for Wolves, but they're dropping 3 places. 13th for Wolves, I think. Solly, there'll be a rock at the back again, or he'll crumble. Hope he thrives, though. I hate to see keepers struggle. Yeah, that is very, very true. Indeed. So we move on to the top 10, and I am going for their joint highest ever finish, Crystal Palace. I've been very impressed with Vieira as a manager, and I think he's going to get Palace into the top 10. So, Nathan, who have you got 10th?
So in 10th position, a bit of a controversial one. Quite a few of us have put them actually here. And I've gone for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Hwang Hee-chan, as George has just said, very good to get in on a permanent deal. We haven't, surely, Josh. We surely haven't. What is this?
You two are definitely DMing each other when we're not talking.
But I'm guessing Josh has Wolves then, is that right? Yeah. Right. Okay.
For me, they just need a Raul Jimenez from a few years ago. Get that really recognised number 9, the big man. Shore up that defence a little bit and keep Ruben Neves, and I think they'll have an all right season.
Okay. Will I bother coming to Josh when he says Wolves? Reece has gone for a minute there. I'll come to George. Who's in your 10th place?
So 10th place for me. I've sort of put Aston Villa. And I've put
Aston Villa.
My little spiel for them was, much as it pains me to say it, I think Steven Gerrard's a very astute manager who really appears to be building something with Villa. They've made some creditable summer signings. Obviously, you've spoken about Carlos, Kamara as well, but obviously the permanent deal to Coutinho. The only thing that places them for me lower than other clubs is goal threat, as sometimes their strikers
Yes.
can go missing, and also the calamity that is Tyrone Mings at the back, who will still get plenty of game time. And Villa also have a habit of blowing hot and cold, and this will, in my view, seem unfair as all such teams that suffer from such bouts in a mid-table berth. So yeah, I think Villa I've got in 10th, but yeah, I think Gerrard's doing a really good job, but he'll be somewhat limited, I think, by the personnel that he's got to work with.
Okay, Reece, who's in your 10th place?
He's just said it. Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
Same circumstance. I think key signings there, like Boubacar Kamara. I actually like Diego Carlos. I think yes, he is a bit hot-headed, but if you've put your mouth on the wall, who would you rather have, Diego Carlos, or would you rather have Tyrone Mings? I'd rather have a footballer, not a UFC fighter, in my defence. So yeah, I think that's. I'm also going to go on a limb here. So obviously there are Liverpool fans watching. There is a Liverpool fan directly above me. I'm going to say this right now. Coutinho will be the flop of the season. I actually think he's going to have a shit season, but that's not going to directly do much on them because the quality around them, I think the quality they've got elsewhere is good enough. Coutinho, on the other hand, in terms of the Premier League, I don't think in terms of the system, like they're playing a 4-3-2-1, they're playing him as a wide 10. If you want to get the best of him, you play him as a natural 10, not a wide. I don't think he's good enough for a wide player. That's why I think he'll flop unless Gerrard decides to go with a diamond midfield.
It's interesting that we're all like mentioning obviously Tyrone Mings, but Super John McGinn has been named as captain now for Aston Villa, which I'm very, very happy at.
See, at least he understands that he has a good player as captain, not a scumbag.
And that's the thing with Gerrard. He's not afraid to make a decision, and he's actually done that with Super John McGinn. So I really, really like that. Hella's got Newcastle 10th. Rennie's got Wolves 10th. Eleven Escalator fans got Brighton 10th. Anthony Herbert has got Brighton 11th, Leicester 10th, Villa 9th, Wolves 8th, West Ham 7th. Bloody hell. Where's Newcastle coming in your predictions, Anthony? I had Brighton 10th, told you it was only going to get crazy from Southampton. Yeah, boy, Leicester, Shane, Leicester. Palazzo very highly. I think he has a well-oiled squad. Men's reserved to the captaincy. Villa won't finish above Leicester. There's more chance of Maguire getting player of the year. Don't really care what happens to Coutinho. He made his bed, didn't work out. I think Arsenal will have a good season this year. I missed most of this stream, but I can see City, Liverpool, Spuds, Chelsea Scum, Arse, West Ham, Magpies, United, Wolves, Leicester with Notts, Fulham and Toffees going down. Gerrard stripping his centre half of the captaincy and giving it to midfielder. Where have we seen this before? Absolutely, indeed. My 9th place is those Magpies. Yes, I think the money side of things. I think they made some good signings. I think they have. Nick Pope, very good goalkeeper. Surprised not many teams are in for him at all. Matt Targett on a permanent. He's all right. He's not the best, if I'm being honest, in that aspect. So, yeah, Newcastle, I think we're going to have a good season. But I think Newcastle fans' expectations are a little bit too high. I think you've got to aim between 7th and 9th before thinking of maybe getting European football. Just my honest opinion. But I think Newcastle will be absolutely fine. 9th place. So, Nathan, who have you got in 9th?
So, 9th, I have gone for Aston Villa. I thought their business is very good in the summer transfer window. We haven't, surely, Josh. You know what?
If they've got the exact same prediction for the rest of the show, then there's no point asking Josh. There's no point.
Go on, you can have this one, Josh.
Yeah, I've got Aston Villa 9th. I
think I know where this is going now as well.
I think Steven Gerrard is a very, very good manager. I think with a full preseason behind them, the summer signings have signed. I know people still think about Diogo Carlos, but to be fair, I think what happened with Morelos at Rangers will give Gerrard good experience in this. Gerrard did calm Morelos down towards back ends. I do think that will help, and he has got an experience in tennis to this. I do think his system can work. He just needed a pre-season and more time to work on it. And he is a manager who can tactically adapt in certain situations, especially in the game. and I just feel like he's going to surprise a few. I think yes, he struggled last season, but I think he completely changed what Dean Smith was doing before him, and I feel like that did show. With the full preseason, I've seen a few preseason games. They've actually looked like they've been quite good. So
Yeah.
I think Aston Villa will surprise you, and I think Coutinho's going to have a really, really good season.
Reece?
Shock number 3. I'm just kidding. This is actually shock number 2. Wait to hear what I've done later on. 9th, I've actually gone for Crystal Palace.
Ooh, wow.
I think a lot of people are actually underestimating Crystal Palace by not actually putting them higher up than I think they could. Yes, they don't have yes, they don't have the top quality that they had last season. So that midfield was fantastic, but they've got a fantastic manager. They've got a fantastic work ethic. They play really good football, whether it's on the counter-attack or whether they're actually dominating the possession. And they've got a good team ethic around them. Yes, I've criticised one player heavy on this channel before, only to wind a certain person up. Ali knows too well. Zaha. But I'm still impressed by that core squad. And I think this year, he is pushing 30 now. I think he's just about to turn 30, something like that. Wilfried Zaha. David Moyes' daughter's not your style anymore, mate. Find someone else. I'm at that point where I think he's got a lot to prove. They've got a good squad. They've added well. The back line's very strong. And you know what? I genuinely think they will do a lot. And I'll say this as well. I think Crystal Palace, I said it last year that one of the teams that would decide the title race would be the likes of Chelsea, and Man United at some point would. But I'm going to say this now. Crystal Palace, either at home or away, they will decide who wins the Premier League for me. It will be down to Palace, and that is my controversial opinion of the night.
Wow. George, who's finishing 9th for you?
Well, it's good news for all the Leicester City fans, because I've got Leicester City finishing a lot higher than some people on this panel. I've got them 9th. I think they are a difficult team to predict effectively, given last season's troubles in the league, impacted strongly, though, by the European push, thwarted at the penultimate stage by Mourinho's Roma. This time out, they will have no Europe to worry about, and only a few years ago that led to their fairy tale Premier League title win. However, their squad this time around seems very threadbare. The possibility of Tielemans moving on, and Jamie Vardy still being the main goal threat, even though he's older than Gandalf's dad. If they can get results together, they could look to aim higher, particularly as alluded to with their nicely spaced schedule. But it feels like, sadly for Leicester fans, the ceiling was reached, and they are now on the come down, albeit to mid-table respectability.
Interesting. Shane has Aston Villa 9th. Hella's got Wolves in 9th. Rennie's got Leicester in 9th. Crystal Palace 9th from Eleven Escalator fan. Henry's got Nottingham Forest 9th.
Yeah.
Wow.
I know Cardiff have a good fan base, but Steve Cooper isn't getting them into the top 10. That is mental. If that does happen, though,
Steve Cooper will do Forest proud. Yeah, probably will do. Destiny Reece had Palace 9th. If Zaha serious about wanting to play European football, he really should have made his move at a minimum of 3 years ago. So we're now into the top 8. My 8th place is Leicester City. Haven't done enough in the transfer window for me, but I still think they will be fine. Still got a very good squad there. So, yeah, for me, I'm going Leicester in 8th. Nathan?
Josh?
West Ham United.
Phew. Thank goodness.
We're getting divorced.
I think West Ham will still have a fantastic season, but I do think they will slightly drop the season.
But with the Conference League.
That too, but I think they'll probably get away with playing, their second team in the Conference League during the group stages. As last season proved, as they went into the knockouts, they did start to struggle in the league. Their main problem was Europe. I could see that being a similar case this year, and I just also think they will probably maybe just slightly struggle for goals this season. I think they were heavily reliant on Antonio. Antonio fell off massively towards the end of last season, probably due to how much games he was playing. But again, that could be a similar case because they don't really have many number 9s. Obviously, Yarmolenko, I think he's away to. I think he went to Saudi Arabia. I believe he did. Yeah. Garnamango was a big goal scoring, depth player for them. So I think they'll be completely fine. They've still got Thomas Schuur's had a fantastic pre-season. They've kept Declan Rice. I think they've made the right move by moving on from Fabianski. I think probably the right time to move on from him. He's a great goalkeeper, but I think moving into a longer-term goalkeeper in Areola is probably the right decision. Maybe Masabaki at left back. Yeah, he's awful. I feel like they do slightly struggle in those areas. Mark Noble's also gone, so I feel like they'll be okay. I don't think they've signed enough players to be fighting to get European football this year, but they'll absolutely be up there, and I think they'll do fantastically well in the Conference League as well.
Interesting, right? Nathan, who is your 8th place?
Newcastle. Now, Chris Wood at top, Gamares, Sam really, really strong squad there. And anyhow, yes, defensively you can be a bit suspect at times, but they do have strength there. I mean, they finally got rid of Jamal Lascelles. He's no SBC now, and yeah, it's going to be a really exciting, really, really exciting season for Newcastle fans. Don't think they will just have enough for European football left yet, though, I should say. I can't even speak.
Yeah, I've just got rid of that bloody bot that's just gone into.
Just to say,
those things.
Everton are close to signing a new player, and it's a grand.
Is it you?
Transfer. Michi Batshuayi from Chelsea.
Oh God!
Can I change my prediction, please?
The Batman. Reece, who's your 8th place?
Or like the fat man. I'm surprised you forgot Skamaka, even though I'm not a big fan of his. He's still half decent striker. Good lad's already said it to me. Nathan, I agree with him. I've got Newcastle as well. Like, I think they've got a decent squad. They aren't good enough to get European football yet. Keyword is yet. It's going to be. I think they will the following season. I think Eddie Howe will build this team up really slowly, and then you will see them push in. If anybody has Newcastle in the top 7, George, then I will be questioning insanity. But they are a good squad. I think one thing they do need is a bit of time just to continue gelling, because they will make a lot of signings, and you just need to be a little bit more careful with adding so much at one time. But the one good thing they do have, though, is a manager that understands the Premier League, even though he is a bit suspect defending. Eddie Howe is actually a decent manager.
Yeah, he is.
I think it really does come down to where they are in the crucial parts of the season. So obviously fixture congestion in October, fixture congestion in April. Can they handle it, especially with Trippier last season? His injuries, that's a big loss at right back for them if they can't keep him fit. Yeah. So it comes down to, for me, and obviously the key man, St. Maximin.
Yeah. Okay, George, who's your 8th place?
8th place is United. I've got a few Uniteds left to place. But yeah, my 8th is West Ham.
I was about to say.
Which means another United is another couple of United that are above them.
You had me like got ready to like fight. Don't do that to me.
Yeah, I've got so West Ham. I sort of put under Moyes to continue to perform excellently, and I anticipate another positive season for them. Obviously, no signs to Maka, which Reece sort of mentioned briefly as well. So they're trying to add a few goals to their arsenal, and they've hung on to prize players such as Rice by slapping large transfer fees on them to ward off potential supers. A very settled side, a consistent one. The Conference League, though, will hamper potential higher climb to the table with the crazy schedule and Wi-Fi passwords spotted around Europe. It's likely West Ham will take the competition very seriously, though, as they did the Europa League last season, and silverware is something which Moyes and his men are desperate for. So yeah, I think that's what West Ham really are going to try and focus on. I think they will try and get some silverware, because I know that's I think that's probably their highest priority, and I think that's where potentially a higher league finish will elude them. So yeah, 8th for West Ham.
Right. Hellas is Villa 8th. Shane O'Donnell's got Newcastle 8th. Rennie's got Newcastle in 8th. Cian has got Wolves in 8th place. Now, Cian, were you drunk or something when you did these predictions? Because that's
words.
No chance for Leicester to be in the top 10. That's interesting. Mahima Gavish has got my top 4. Okay. Bots 8th, says Henry. I have Newcastle finishing 6th, says Gary. Bloody hell. Cucurella was signing for Chelsea. United will be decent this season. Liverpool is going down. Yeah, Mahima, get whatever you're having. Jesus, no, not a chance. Not a chance.
We could go from
Yeah.
second. We could go from second to third. So technically, that is counting as going down.
Yeah. Seventh place, I've got West Ham. I just unfortunately don't think they're good enough to get into the top 6 at the moment, but they have made some very good signings. Scamacca. They finally signed a striker after 1,020 days since replacing Sebastian Haller. So could be very interesting. But yeah, for me, West Ham are in 7th place.
Just so you know, the Sebastian Haller, I wish him the best of recovery after the unfortunate news about cancer. That was terrible news. A guy, he was probably just getting his career back off the track after a fantastic season at Ajax and even the Dortmund. Terrible news. Hopefully he'll recover well. We'll see him in football again soon.
Yeah. Agreed. And so Nathan, who's your 7th place?
7th place, like it seems everyone in the chat is saying, I have gone for West Ham United. Really strong showing last season.
What was that? Was that maybe a Cockney accent?
An attempt at one that was more like a Southern American accent. But anyway, yeah, they're going to have another strong season this year. Scamacca, really good signing. Glad to see they've finally got a striker there to add to their already decent options. And then around their midfield and their defence, still developing strong. And yeah, I think they're going to be pushing forwards. And even as a dark horse at the moment, I'd fully send it in the Conference League and win the trophy.
Interesting.
West Ham need to get something in their trophy cabinet.
Josh, I've got a feeling where this is going, but tell us anyway.
So the team I think is going to get Conference League football for next season is Newcastle United. I think Newcastle will. Obviously, your Conference League football I think is still an incredible achievement for them. I just think they've just got all the right elements. I think the Pope is Dubravka, was really showing. Dubravka, who when he first signed for Newcastle, was an unbelievable goalkeeper, but definitely showed flaws last season. It solved that. They've got a really good defense. Like Kieran Chipper's got a fantastic season. Maybe some issues over, maybe a goal scoring striker, but I think the team has enough goals around him. Like Chris Wood could very well play well into his role. And even depth wise, I think they've got really good. I think they've probably got the best depth out of this team, and they will not have the European games like West Ham will. I feel like they'll slightly edge over in the freshness and category and get into the European Conference League spot over West Ham.
Reece?
Yeah, I've got West Ham. I agree. I do get the point about depth in the squad. Obviously, Newcastle, they have their depth. West Ham have also added in the exact positions I said add in January. If you want to get top 4, you get a number 10, you get a striker. They've added to that. Yes, Scamacca's got to get used to the Premier League. I'm not overly billing him. I watch Serie A. I'm also quarter Italian, so I've got a lot of expectation on the shit. I don't expect a big season of him, but I think he will get maybe 15 goals for West Ham, which would be a decent first season for him. But they are solid, and they've got a manager that knows this league really well. And the fact that they've already shown they can handle European football and they can handle the Premier League at the same time. Yeah, I think they'll be fine. They'll be the last team to qualify for Europe out the top 7. Yeah, West Ham for me.
Okay, and George?
I have gone for 7th being Arsenal.
Ooh.
I love this man.
I've said Arteta faces a real crunch here with Arsenal, and as I've alluded to before, this was obviously at the back end of last season. There's some real similarities for me to Ollie's final few months of his managerial tenure with United as well as Arteta. He narrowly missed out on UCL qualification whilst Ollie lost the Europa League final on penalties, which both the ultimate objectives for the respective clubs and managers when the season started, i.e. a trophy for Ollie and UCL qualification for Arteta. Now Arsenal will have to deal with a busy schedule, which they completely avoided last season, and hence will be knocked down a couple of places. Despite some positive acquisitions of ex-City players, obviously Zinchenko and Jesus, their squad still seems light in key areas and youthful. And then furthermore, Arteta has never really sorted out a terrible disciplinary record within his squad, which has cost them valuable points in the games, a trend I see continuing, leaving them placed in the Conference League place. There were lots of sending offs. Again, it just seems like it's marred. I think Arsenal have always had that problem, but Arteta especially, there's been so
under him a lot
with under Arsenal, and lots of terrible results. So I've got them finishing 7th because not only with that disciplinary record, but also The fact they've now got so many more of these extra games, which they didn't have when they last season.
That's interesting because Hella, Shane, Henry, myself have all got West Ham in 7th, as is Nathan and Reece. Reece, you'll be proud about this. Manchester United 7th as elevator and escalator fan. I have Man United 7th. No, I am not joking. That squad is good enough for 7th. Ronaldo wants out. Fred and McTominay can't. I think you meant to say can't pass.
One can straight and the other passes sideways. Like we've not got the combination for accuracy, but we have at least got a proper midfielder in Christian Eriksen.
Yeah. I'm going to quickly say, I think I know what Nathan's going to say for 6th, but if he says what I think he's going to say for 6th, I have no problem with him.
Well, we'll see.
Well, my 6th place is Arsenal. Again, it's a big season for Arteta, and if I'm being honest, I just don't see them making top 4 because of it being Arteta. I don't think Arteta is that good a manager. So for me, I am going Arsenal in 6th place. Nathan?
Josh, what do you think I'm going to say for 6th?
Drugs.
I'm not going to ruin it because I don't want to ruin my prediction if yours is not right. So give me a clue.
Okay, so in 6th position, I have gone for Arsenal, and all I will say.
Give me a clue that says Arsenal. You could have said arseholes. Like at least that's exactly a clue.
That. For me, another transitional year like last year where they did end really well. Brought in some good signings, aka half of the Man City squad, including Zinchenko, and one striker that I don't rate in Gabriel Jesus. And I think they'll just have an all right season, but I was tempted to put them higher. But when you look at the 5 teams above them, I just don't think they're as good as any of the other teams. As well, that'll finish above them. What am I on about? So Arsenal in 6th, but bring on all or nothing in 3 days' time.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
I was going to say the all or nothing time free. I think it's the first 3 episodes, right, and then the other episodes drop a week later. But I've not got Arsenal in 6th place. I've got Manchester United. I feel like the big issue for Manchester United for me is they haven't signed any massive big players that I feel like I want to read. I think Martinez, it will be better at defence, but I still think De Gea is going to be an issue this season. There's still question marks over right back. Kandalo will be a star right back. Wan-Bissaka is done now that Ten Hag's there. Wan-Bissaka will probably not see much of the light. And one thing I have noticed, because I do watch pre-season games because I love football and I watch any football. Manchester United's depth is extremely worrying. I watched a friendly they had against Real Sociedad yesterday. I think Chong, all that hype about Chong, man, the guy needs to go, and he's absolutely awful.
Was it Rayo Vallecano?
Yeah, it was a 1 each. Ronaldo's not fit / mentally checked into Manchester United. The midfield is not good enough for Ten Hag's style of play, which I think Ten Hag will struggle to maybe adapt around that. You do worry, the wings, one was a Sancho or Rashford, get injured. Martial, can he be consistent? I feel like there's so many question marks. But I do not think this season is a reflection on Ten Hag. I think this is a rebuilding stage for Manchester United. It's a new philosophy. They probably need a summer to clear everyone out. The whole De Jong thing, I think they spent too much time on De Jong when they could have been doing other things. I do see Eriksen being a star over Bruno Fernandes because Ten Hag will not accept Bruno Fernandes losing the ball every single fucking time he touches the ball. So I think Eriksen will be a big player for this season. But there's can Sancho do it? Can Rashford and Martial be consistent? Can Luke Shaw be Luke Shaw that he was a few seasons ago? I just think there's too many questions over Manchester United, and I don't see them again. I just think it'll be a rebuilding stage, and I think. And George, this is a bit of a thing to you. Give Ten Hag time because this is not his squad, and if things go south, which they probably will, it's definitely not his fault because I feel like the Manchester United board, as usual, have not really backed the manager at all.
Interesting. Right, Reece, who have you got in 6th place?
I've heard that slaughtering. Give it to George first, whilst I get a few bits of recovery back.
Okay. George.
So 6th place, I've gone for Newcastle United. I was quite tempted. I was quite tempted actually to place them a bit higher, but then I thought this is sort of more of a progression season for them. But I think it was really sort of noticeable when Howe came in, and also obviously those signings as well in January. How there's a sort of that stat that I've quoted quite a lot, obviously over the last few sort of podcasts. The fact that Newcastle picked up the third most amount of points in the calendar year after Liverpool, Man City in the Premier League. So if they continue that sort of form, I think they're almost like a flat track bully in some ways, because again they sort of struggled. Apart from that victory over Arsenal, they struggled against the real top teams. But my sort of little spiel on there was, Howe's done a superb job so far in the time he's had at Newcastle. There's been struggle obviously as they faced the top teams before the victory over Arsenal. They were looking for progression over the past season. No Europe will massively benefit them compared to the other teams, which again Josh sort of mentioned as well against with regards to West Ham as well. The main issue will be goals when compared to the other teams, and for this reason, obviously my favourite Newcastle player, Bruno Guimaraes, will again have to chip in with some important strikes. In many ways, the sky's the limit for Newcastle. And if they can reinforce their flat track bullying record over other sides below them, then they could seriously even challenge for UCL places. But by present prediction, placing in the Europa League qualification, which would mark consistent improvement as their project builds. And again, I think it's quite difficult because obviously Newcastle will still, I think, bid for quite a few players. Obviously, everyone now knows they've got money, so they'll maybe struggle to get people through the door at reasonable prices. But I think they'll maybe make a couple of good signings over the rest of the window. But I think Newcastle are my sort of surprising prediction. But at the same time, I'm quite secure in it because I really do think Newcastle are a very good side. And like I said, I'm a massive fan of Bruno Guimaraes. So, and he's just a phenomenal player who I love watching. So, I think 6th for them.
Right, Reece, who's your 6th place?
First of all, I'm laughing at somebody in the chat actually just called Haaland a tap-in merchant. Do you even watch football? Like, I'm just going to put that out there. But second of all, like, say that earlier on, what is he smoking? I'm only kidding, Josh. I'm only kidding. You're entitled to your opinion. I've actually went for one position above what George has went. Like, in terms of opposition, I've actually put Arsenal in 6th. Purely similar factors. I do think it'll be European football. They are in the Europa League. We'll see what tests them. I do get where George is coming from, though. Like, they could finish in Europa League places because obviously the squad, there's some depth in there. There's some good players in there in terms of like Jesus, Zinchenko. I rate Jesus. I think he is actually a good player. Like, his Premier League goal scoring record is actually brilliant. It's just his consistency factor. But they do have a good squad. I think the only thing really is the manager is like he has got to really show a lot this year if he wants to stay in a job. Like, he has got to be pushing. Like, for him, realistic. If you're an Arsenal fan, obviously you want to be in that top. But you want more in the top 4. You want to win the league, but you're not. You want trophies. Arteta realistically has to compete for them. He has to compete for the Europa League as well. I don't see it happening, but they have got a decent squad. It's just, are they actually going to go far? I'm not so sure at the moment. Just based on signings alone, 6th for me. Yeah.
Okay. Shane said Man United 6th. Man United 6th. West Ham in 6th. Arsenal 7th. Go European football this season. Not sure they have the depth or quality to go higher. 6th Newcastle. 6th Arsenal. Holland. Holland tapping merchant. I like that. Hi, Brian. Hope you're good. Never we have a world-class player in Nunez. Arsenal will never win the league.
Come on, that is meant. He ain't world class.
Right. 5th place, I have Manchester United. Now, there's a few reasons for this. I think that Europa League is going to kill your momentum. I think it is like the Thursday-Sunday football is a big killer for me. And look, obviously the last time you were in the Europa League, I think you got to the final against Villarreal, and obviously the year before that, you obviously won it. I think you are capable of winning something this season, but I don't think it's going to be any of the domestic ones. I think it will probably be the Europa League. But just because of that, I've got Man United in 5th. I think you made some good signings. I don't think you've made enough signings, and I think putting all your eggs in the Frenkie de Jong basket is a big no-no. So for me, I've gone 5th place Manchester United. Nathan?
5th place, bit of a controversial one. I've gone for Chelsea. Yes, I think Kian's just summarised it quite a bit. Transfers do worry me. Their goal scoring does worry me as well. Just their striker curse is insane there. Will Timo Werner have a good season? I don't know.
He's gone back to Leipzig.
Very well played. There you go. Cucurella is a great signing from, as you said, but from what we've been hearing in press conferences and stuff reported in the media, there are a lot of alarm bells ringing with Chelsea. So I think going to be Europa League football from next season.
Alarm bells, alarm bells.
Josh is sitting there like, what have I just heard?
Oh, well. Josh, who
Bring it
is
on.
finishing in 5th place?
Fifth place, I've also got Chelsea. I feel like our time.
Whoa! I
I
did not see that coming.
So let me just say, first of all, we haven't signed enough players. Our big issue, our back three is Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, and Azpilicueta. If any of
Very
those
old.
three go down injured, it's Trevor Chalobah and Malang Sarr. The depth of centre back just does not exist. You know, we had the centre back cover last season. We don't this year. We don't have a right wing back cover for Reece James. I don't really think we need this guy from Brighton if we've got Alonso and Joe. As much as I don't like Alonso, we don't need 3 good left backs. Midfield, we don't have a DM, but our midfield just gets torn apart. Kante's injury prone. Jorginho's good, but inconsistent. And we're going to the season with a lot of registered striker. Havertz is a great player, but he's not someone who's going to score 20 goals a season. And Raheem Sterling's going to be great, but I think we all know Sterling's not a massive goal scorer. He's creating chances and dribbling and getting to good areas, but his actual finishing product in terms of trying to shoot a goal, his stats are not great. From what I've seen in pre-season, we're lacking in fitness. We're lacking in fitness. We're lacking in any goal threat. Last 2 seasons, we've got lucky to get the top 4. We're Vesha by the top of our luck, and I just feel like Spurs. I obviously give away Spurs in my top 4 now. Spurs look like an absolute railroad machine, and I just don't think Chelsea have enough about them unless we go on an absolute madness here these next few days over the window. I just think it's Europa League football for us next season.
Okay, this is going to be interesting because obviously we have 2 Manchester United fans on the panel. So, where have they predicted Man United to finish? Will they finish in the top 4, or are they going to be 5th? Reece?
That's actually really interesting because Josh is actually like pulling at legs. But to be fair, I still have to stick with the original. I'm not changing on this one. I actually have my club in 5th. I don't think we're getting in the top 4. I think the Europa League is going to hamper us, really. But I'm going to say this in the limb. I actually think we'll win the Europa League. Crazy enough, I'm saying I don't really
I said that as well.
Come at me, humans. I don't care. I'm backing my club to win the Europa League. But the only reason I'm saying that is because I think Ten Hag this season, he'll realise he has to actually do a Mourinho. He has to realise he has to pick one or the other. And I think you'll get to March time and you'll realise actually all eggs in one basket. He will put everything into that Europa League.
Yeah.
And we'll just slightly dip in the Premier League. That's why I think we'll just finish 5th. But I think we will go all the way in Europe.
Just very, very quickly, because Hella's got to go. I've got to go, guys. Been an amazing stream. My top 4 are City, Liverpool, Tottenham, and Chelsea, says Hella. That's very interesting. George, who have you got in 5th place?
Yeah, I'm quite glad actually that what Reece has done there because obviously with Nathan doing what he's done, it looks quite bad as a Manchester United fan to do this. What I'm going to do next, which is to also agree with Reece and have Manchester United 5th.
And me.
Eric Ten Hag, and yourself, Doug. Yeah, Eric Ten Hag's first season in charge, so will likely drop quite a few points as he tries to get grips with a squad riddled with deadwood. Again, obviously, I could bore on about it for hours of all the different issues, but again, I'm going to keep it nice and succinct. In addition, the challenging Europa League schedule will hamper points accrual as well as what will likely be enforced faith in certain players who are not good enough at the highest level. Again, I could list them for hours. A lot will depend on whether the certain reported incomings occur, which may push them further up the table. Obviously, Frankie de Jong, who you've mentioned, Doug, would be a massive improvement on the side. And finally, and most importantly of all, is how Eric Ten Hag works with the squad in particular. Introducing a mentality which has been severely lacking for years in key players and getting the balance right within the squad. So I'm anticipating a formative, challenging season, and therefore it's conservative prediction somewhat, obviously having them 5th. But yeah, I mean, again, I actually agree with a lot of what Josh sort of said about certain players. There are actually quite a few more that I really don't rate either, and I think Eric Ten Hag's going to really struggle because there are certain players who he is going to pick and maybe not realise are not good enough too late. And I think that's what's really going to hurt us, as well as obviously a terrible mentality like I said within the squad. And the final thing, obviously, which you really sort of emphasise as well, Doug, which is the Europa League schedule, which has nearly always ruined teams, especially if we look like obviously last season, Spurs were very fortunate in some ways. They got out of Europe nice and early, so Conte had that no Europe with Spurs, so he was able to make that good charge for top four. So yeah, Manchester United fifth, sadly.
Just to say, Watford have taken the lead of Vicarage Road. Sheffield United, with an absolute terrible idea of a corner, ended up leading into a very fluid counter-attack by Watford, and João Pedro gave Watford a lead in the Vicarage Road. So they're beating Sheffield United 1-0.
Yeah, I gotta say that Watford, they've been pressing to get a goal for quite a while now for me. But yeah, Sheffield United saw a lot last season.
The goal was actually offside, but obviously there's no VAR in the Championship, so there you go.
What terrible officiating this weekend.
Controversial.
Just to respond to it's just the Wi-Fi's acting up. That's all it is, really. It's just the Wi-Fi.
No, the Wi-Fi. I was wondering that actually. Yeah. Believe it or not, fourth place I have Chelsea. No matter how bad their transfer window has been, and obviously Barcelona beating them to obviously Jules Koundé and Rafinha, which is ridiculous to be honest. I can't understand how Barcelona are managing it. For me, Tuchel is a good manager, but this is where I worry for Chelsea. Has Tuchel been backed enough? Now, for me, he hasn't. I think Chelsea.
I think you're massively wrong, because he wanted Koundé. He wanted Koundé. He wanted Rafinha. He was going to get them if it wasn't for Barcelona. He wanted Koulibaly. He wanted De Ligt, but De Ligt wanted Bayern Munich, so then he wanted Koulibaly. He got Koulibaly. Sterling was one of the first players he wanted. We got him. Maybe the transfer took a bit too longer. And he wants this player from Brighton. There's no way Roman Abramovich would have went for this fucking random player from Brighton for 50 million. Martina would have had that. So I actually do think he is being backed. I just maybe think it hasn't been as publicly said by the owners, or his player profile maybe are just a bit different.
This for me will be his last season in charge of Chelsea. I think he'll be away after this season.
People forget it's not Abramovich in charge anymore. It's that these new owners may give him benefit of the doubt. Say he finishes fifth, Abramovich would sack him, but no one knows what the American owners are going to do. I think he will stay if we finish outside the top four of the season, as long as the team are not playing absolutely awfully. But the issue of this squad, as we've seen against Arsenal in the pre-season, we are incapable of playing a back four. It just cannot be done. We do not have centre backs.
You cannot play a back four.
I'm just laughing at Elevator's comment. For me, that's comment of the night. Imagine Barcelona win 5-0 against Chelsea with Koundé, Dembele, Azpilicueta, Rafinha, and Christensen scoring. that would be the funniest of all time.
Right, Nathan, who have you got fourth?
Fourth place, I have gone for Manchester United. For me, it was a bit of a toss-up between them and Chelsea, of course, but when you just see both of the squads and both of the things off the pitch, I mean, Man United, especially under Rangnick going towards the end of the season, I don't know whether you guys will agree with me, but he's done a really good job of starting to get rid of the deadwood. As that evolves over the season, we saw it at the start with Ajax as well, his tenure, really getting something going with what he's already got. When he adds to that over time, it's going to develop and probably develop into something special. But for me, they are in a better position than Chelsea, so I think they're going to finish in the Champions League places.
That's interesting. Josh?
Fourth place, I've got Arsenal, and the reason I've got Arsenal is I think Arsenal, for all the reasons I've said about the two previous teams, Chelsea and Arsenal, I've Chelsea and Man United. I think Arsenal are probably more complete squad-wise than the previous two teams. I think Jesus will thrive in a team that has a bit less pressure on him. He gets more game time, gets that more confidence into him. I think the midfield's probably better. Defensively, I've been on a few question marks, and obviously Ramsey. I think Ramsey started to struggle maybe towards the end of last season a little bit after his very good start. But I just feel like Arsenal are just more. They're definitely more complete than Manchester United. Manchester United rebuild what Arsenal probably built to a decent extent, and I feel like Arsenal just slightly a little bit. As I've seen in pre-season, they're fitter, their squad's better, and they're more adapted to their system. Where Tuchel's still trying to find out what his best squad is with this team. So I think Arsenal will just edge Chelsea in the top four. I feel sick saying that. I really do.
I bet you do. I bet you do.
Feel sick being that, but I'm a realistic guy, and I hope it doesn't happen. I hope I've jinxed it, but I just feel like Arsenal are just slightly ahead of us in so many different areas, and I feel like they're just going to slightly beat us to top four. Which should have done last season.
I've got Chelsea scum in fourth. Like purely for the sense of it, it's just going to be a fluke.
Yeah.
Like I think it'll be a fluky top four finish.
That's the only way we get top four.
Yeah, I do think it is Tuchel's last season. I do actually agree with Josh over yourself, Doug, in regards to spending. And the reason I do agree is because obviously the key ones for me is De Ligt. Like that is like Koulibaly's a fantastic defender, but logic dictates you going, Christ almighty. Hopefully he misses a penalty in his first game. Prick.
What's that? Adam Ramsey?
Confirmed Eugenis.
Oh, for God's sake.
Yeah,
Hope he misses a penalty. But yeah, I think the spending's a key thing for me. That's why I have them fourth.
And George?
I've also got Chelsea in fourth. I've said obviously I've lost out some key players and not really made dramatic strides in the transfer market. Basically being made Barcelona's bitch on multiple occasions in the window. Koulibaly will need to adapt quickly to the rigors of the Premier League. I know obviously you spoke about this on your individual stream again, Doug, as well, especially given the massive shoes he has to fill, obviously with Antonio Rudiger, who I was a big fan of as well, phenomenal player for Chelsea. Raheem Sterling obviously will likely adapt quicker, but does suffer from profligacy as well. Obviously, you mentioned this as well, Doug, in your thing, which is, sometimes you can. I think at Man City, a lot of the time when we're sort of, I know earlier in the stream we were talking about tapping merchants and Raheem Sterling is almost the CEO of that because his movement's so good, but he just a lot of his goals are real tap-ins. Which I don't necessarily think Chelsea play in any way in the same way that Man City did, which really suited Raheem Sterling's strength in that manner. So again, I think Chelsea's issue compared to the three above them, who are placed above them, will be proven goal scorers. But they are specialists at grinding out results and somehow repeatedly making the top four, even when they aren't necessarily playing too well, which again you sort of spoke about, Doug, which is they're just always in the top four, just no matter how poorly they play. So
Right. I have a feeling this might be unanimous, but my third place is Tottenham.
Yeah.
I think some of the signings.
Just say yes. Yeah, I'm Spurs.
I honestly think everybody has got the top three in the positions that I think they have. So yeah, for me, Tottenham third.
Fantastic signings. Antonio Conte. He has some fits as anything. Farnell also. Harry Kane, Son. I think Longley's a decent signing at centre back. Really good wing backs. It's a team that I feel like Spurs are going to get top four. They're going to be a pain in the ass to beat this season.
Yeah, Nathan?
Yeah, completely agree. The only reason that they have gone there, because I was thinking of actually putting them second over the club that I actually have. Well, you'll find later on, but for me, if you compare the remaining three squads, I think Spurs just does go into third, but they do need that one more season. Then after that, I think they could be challenging for the title. But they got to keep Conte.
I am going to get killed for this comment. I am going to get absolutely killed, and I know who's going to kill me.
It's Liverpool. It is 100%.
I have Liverpool in third. And the reason I have them in third is they've lost their best player. I said it to Doug numerous times. Their best player is Sadio Mane. They let him go. They kept the one they should have gotten rid of in Salah. and that's purely simple. I'm looking at them, still a strong squad, but I do think there's one other team that really will shock people this season and finish in the top 2, and we'll be getting to them shortly. Yeah, I have Liverpool finish 3rd, but I think Liverpool will focus more on Europe because they'll want to do everything they can to stop City from winning the Champions League. They won't win the Champions League either, by the way. Neither club will win the Champions League. Real Madrid will retain it. But yeah,
Here goes George to send Man City in 3rd now.
George?
No, I've gone with most of the panel. I've got Spurs in 3rd. Obviously, Antonio Conte's, a master, as we know, of especially in the league. But obviously, I don't think they've necessarily got the squad that the other 2 teams have, or obviously the pedigree in terms of picking up points. Obviously, Son's in phenomenal form, as we know. Some good signings in the summer transfer window to look to close the gap on the top 2, although likely to still be quite a big points gap in my mind between them and the top 2 again. I think it won't be as many as it was last season, but it will still be a significant gap. Obviously, Basuma will very much improve the side, and so will Perisic, who seems to be another Croatian like Luka Modric, who continuously evades the clutches of old Father Time. And yeah, up top, they've got Son and Kane to bang in the goals as well. So yeah, I think this will be a progressive season for Spurs. But yeah, I think 3rd, and there'll be some gap between them and the top 2 still. So yeah.
Yeah, Billy, Reece has got United 5th. Reece and George and myself have got United 5th as well. 2nd place, as much as it wants me to say that we're going to win the league, I've got Liverpool, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I think the lack of midfield signing is going to be absolutely key as well. If we did have that midfield signing, then maybe I would consider it. But the thing Manchester City don't do is they don't focus on one competition at a time. I think that, yes, they probably will go out all for the Champions League, but they're still an incredible side. And yes, I know we won the Community Shield as well. We have laid down a marker, but for me, Man City starts slowly. I think that's another thing. Manchester City do start slowly. So for me, as much as it pains me to say it, Liverpool 2nd. Nathan?
Yeah, Liverpool 2nd. Really, really close on this one. But there is just one reason that they are 2nd, and that is when I'll explain it all when I get on to my number 1 prediction.
Okay. Josh?
Manchester City.
Ooh.
Whoa! Hello. Your reasoning for that?
It's a difficult one because I feel like Man City are going to probably prioritize Europe a little bit more. Even though it's a Pep Guardiola team and the winning mentality's there, I just don't know if they'll have the edge to keep going in the Premier League, because they played at the Premier League at a relentless pace now for season beyond season. And I feel like Liverpool with Luis Diaz and Nunes now needing to step a bit more might just give them that extra bit of push and extra bit of they'll want to try and win the Premier League, and they'll just want to do a bit more than City. And I think, considering Liverpool lost it by the narrowest margins, and we've seen it with City this season, 2 seasons ago, where City did fall off the pace a wee bit. And also, their depth this year, City isn't as good. The sound players, they're unproven players, but their depth isn't as good. And I do just wonder. And also I also don't think Haaland will stay fit for most of the season. I think he'll struggle in a physical game, a physical Premier League with a lot of games that he was not used to in Dortmund, and a lot more of a physical aspect than what he was at Dortmund. So still think he'll score goals, but just I don't know if he'll be injured. So I think just there's small details, and it really is small details of these 2 clubs because they're that good. And we've seen over the last 2 seasons, details are everything. But I do think Liverpool just slightly will edge it this year. I feel like they'll want it a wee bit more. And I think these new signings will give them a little bit of a boost. Well, meanwhile, City, as we've seen in the Community Shield, it just hasn't really came together yet for them.
Yeah, they do start slowly. Reece, who's your 2nd place?
I'm just looking at all the players being overrated in the live chat. It's making me laugh. Simple. 2nd, Tottenham. 2nd, Tottenham. Reason, Antonio Conte.
Oh, fair enough. George, 2nd place.
Yeah, so I know you sort of got shocked with what Josh was predicting, but I have also predicted the same second place, being Manchester City. I think
Really?
I think there's. I mean, you sort of mentioned this in your individual stream as well, Doug. But I'd already got these. This was already my prediction, as I said. I'd already done the 20 before I watched yours, so I didn't. I wanted to make sure I didn't. I didn't have any sort of like bias or in any fashion. And it is, as Josh has sort of said, it's we all know this is so close between those two sides, and it has been for so many seasons. I think your key guy is obviously Reece is right. I do love Sadio Mane. I'm so glad that
Watford should have scored then.
He's now moved on to Bayern Munich, because then I could sort of be more positive with Mane, because I do really like him. So it's good. But I think obviously Virgil van Dijk's such a big difference maker for you guys. But again, I'll go into that in a moment when I get to Liverpool. But yeah, I think for Man City, you sort of mentioned as well in my little spiel I had, obviously it seems to be a real changing of the guard at Man City with new players brought in. But as it stands, there's also a real defensive fragility with the back line looking very vulnerable. Really clinging on to in the previous season. Obviously, you guys came, like, as you know yourself, Doug, it seemed all the momentum was with you guys. You kept on winning and winning and winning. It was just that you were came from too far back. And I think as Josh has sort of said about Haaland, I think he is a phenomenal acquisition. I think he will score a lot of goals, but obviously Josh has mentioned his injury record. But also I've sort of said that it may take some time to adapt him within their system, since it's not really the fluid attacking system they had previously. And that was quite noticeable in that Community Shield, was the fact that Haaland was sort of almost, I wouldn't say stationary, but he was very, he's very static.
Kevin De Bruyne was very noticeably angry with Haaland's movements.
Yeah,
so
he just sort of holds his, he sort of holds his position, which is what strikers should do, and they should always be in good positions. But for Man City, they're so used to everyone just moving, changing, interchanging, and so forth, and it's a real change. And I think he might almost be the stone that they founder on. And that's why I've got them sort of in second. Again, that defensive fragility, again, Josh sort of mentioned it as well. When in the season where they did really poorly, that was, again, obviously when they struggled in defence particularly. And I think that's again, going to be a struggle for them this season. So, second. But again, it's so close between these two sides. It's unbelievable. But yeah, second, Man City.
Wow. My first place, Man City. I still think they're a phenomenal side, and unfortunately, I just think they'll be too much for us again. And I think they're going to do a three-peat. I've never seen them do it before. So, yeah, I just got a feeling that they will do it. Nathan?
Man City, top of the shop. Think it'll be a fairly decent margin up there, but there's only one reason they're winning it for me. 2 words: Erling Haaland. There you go.
Josh?
I think Liverpool are going to win the league. George, I would say, fair play. I know how mentally sick that makes you say to Liverpool win the league. I feel proud of you for coming past that stage and saying it. But yeah, I feel like I just don't know. I feel like Liverpool just want the war. You don't lose, by the skin of your teeth last season like they did, and not go on and just complete it this year. And as I said, I feel like City. I think this is the first time in a while that there's questions about Manchester City, and that's just down to the fact that we just do not know. If Riyad Mahrez goes down or Erling Haaland goes down, do they have the people to step up? No one knows. Previous seasons, you didn't know.
Yeah, definitely. Reece?
Yeah, I've gone for Manchester City retain the trophy, and it's not because of Haaland. It's purely for the set. Yeah, there's questions about their depth. I completely understand that, but you look at Klopp's a fantastic motivator. I'm not going to take that away from him. Guardiola's a fantastic coach. You look at the difference in the squads. You look at the difference in expectation.
Yeah.
The one thing that's always been the same is Guardiola actually knows how to retain a trophy. He knows how to retain a title. Jurgen Klopp hasn't retained a title since the 2011-12 season at Borussia Dortmund.
Yeah.
I don't see Liverpool win the league. I think Liverpool eventually down the line could again, which makes me sick, but I'm looking at it and I'm thinking it won't be this year. I just think the one thing that Guardiola will expect is he will expect those players to rise to a new level, especially after that Community Shield embarrassment. They got embarrassed by Liverpool in the weekend. And I think that's the one thing that Guardiola will use as motivation as well. He'll expect his players to do better. They've still got some very good players. I think a lot of people are writing off some players already because they don't have Sterling, they don't have Zinchenko. Like, yeah, I get that, but they've invested very smartly as they always do. They'll continue to keep getting better. And I think the one difference is Guardiola. I think that's the real difference. But
George,
and I'll answer Billy's question. And just to sum up, Billy, I had United finishing 5th because I'm not sure about our squad, but I'll say we'll win the Europa League.
But George, he thinks Liverpool are going to win it.
Disgusting.
Yeah. I mean, Josh, to be honest with you, I'm going to echo Josh's sentence again, really. I think it was again very close between, and it's quite sickening because I think Liverpool, Man City are just the 2 best teams in the league. And just like a few years ago when they were pipped to the post and then went on to become champions, I think that's going to be similar. I know, obviously, within your individual stream, again, a lot of your sort of the Liverpool fans, subscribers, sort of saying the same thing. That's going to be a real motivator for Liverpool. You know, going so close again, which was when you guys won the league a couple of seasons ago. So, and then again, I've put sort of for my difference maker, I've got obviously Virgil van Dijk fully fit and raring to go makes the biggest difference to your guys' chances. You've got a much greater degree of depth in your squad, I think, with some good striking acquisitions, and it also feels like you guys can go on long winning streaks necessary to overhaul City, who had shown some real defensive fragility and were really clinging on. So, like I said, I think everyone, or almost everyone, who is not incredibly optimistic in a Liverpool a Liverpool fan, thought you guys were out of the title race back in January, obviously, of last year. But you went on absolutely unbelievable mental runs that you've really done. And I think you guys, if you go on similar run, which again obviously was for your title winning season, I think you guys will win it. And again, like I said, I think your main difference maker is Virgil van Dijk. He is just an unbelievable player. You guys are such a different team with him. It's almost scary. It's just that he makes such a difference to you guys. And yeah, keep him fit. And I think you guys sadly will win the league. But hopefully I'm wrong and it's and it's Man United. But yeah, I think Liverpool to win the league.
I think there's one thing as well though. Like you made a good point there about like overhauling runs, but Man City are also really good at that. We've seen it firsthand. Like once they start winning games, it's very hard to stop them. I get the same with Liverpool, do get that, but I'm genuinely like looking at it and thinking like people are like writing off Erling Haaland already. Did you not even see the Haaland reaction when he missed that sitter? He wasn't angry. He was laughing. That's a motivation. He is using that as a motivation. One miss against a team that he doesn't even give a shit about. He missed against Liverpool. Rather than getting angry, he laughed. Watch Haaland hit 20, 30 goals this season.
Michael talks football. Thank you very much for the super chat. Ramsey joins OGC Nice. Weird. But there we go. There are our Premier League predictions. A big thank you to my panel. Nathan, what have you got coming up on the channel?
So another away day this weekend, or the first one of the season, I should say. Our annual trip to the Magempty car leasing, whatever on earth you call it, ground nowadays, hoping for another 3 points and another victory for Steve Morrison's Tricky Blues. Cardiff City are back.
There we go.
For what? For what? One more week?
Yeah, give it another 5 days.
I had to put that in there.
Josh, thank you very much. Have you got anything coming up on your channel?
Yeah, well, me and George are going to be bringing back our podcast from next week. I said I don't do videos over the summer, and I've had a transitional summer. So I've got a new job, new routine. It's been one of those summers, but it's honestly probably one of the best decisions I've made, moving jobs. Just anybody ever asked me why is the ice cream machine at McDonald's broke? I will slap you. I've been asked that 100 times already.
I've been there.
Yes, George, me and George's podcast come back. I'll be doing my predictions for the Premier League video. I'm thinking I'm doing it on Thursday. come off on Thursday, so I'll get time to edit and do my reporting and all that good stuff. And then I'll just work out things. I think match day vlogs for Glenavon because the Irish League season starts on the 13th of August. So I just can't wait to get back to football again. And thank God the football season's back here because I feel like this summer's just been dead. I just feel like it's been awful. And I'm just so glad football's back. And I've came into the 21st century and I've bought Sky and BT. I'm no longer using streams. I've actually decided to take a step into the right direction. So I'm glad.
Well, I thought you were going to say you came into 21st century because you invested in a light bulb, but never mind.
I will never invest in a light bulb. This room.
Reece, thank you very much for coming on. Have you got anything coming up in Devil's Rising?
Plain and simple, I'm just carrying on with this very bizarre Shakhtar Donetsk career series that I've done. No joke, I've done 17 episodes now, which is crazy. But still doing it, although I think it's probably going to be the last one, and then I'll move on to something else. I'm moving on to other things, bring on to my channel. I'm going to bring some more content, might add a little bit more than just gaming content. I might add a few more things, and obviously weekly armchair on this weekend as well. And then 4 weeks today, I'll be at the Principality Stadium, so that's going to be a blast.
Yeah, I bet that will be as well. And I'll probably see you at work on Friday, hopefully, as well. George, thank you very much, as always.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Doug. Just a very final comment on Erling Haaland. I do really like him. I think he's a fantastic player. I would happily have had him at Man United. He's a wonderful player. My only thing with Man City is not necessarily the amount of goals they'll score; it's more the amount of goals they'll concede. My difference is purely in defence. I think with Van Dijk, I think Liverpool have the advantage there. But obviously, and I think Pep's got to really work on that defence because in certain moments, again, it almost cost them the title. When Villa went 2-0 up, I was absolutely on the floor with depression. So I think it's gonna be an interesting one. But yeah, thank you very much for having me, Doug. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Wonderful talk. I think it's almost a record viewership points. So yeah, phenomenal support. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And looking forward to another exciting season. But yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely have like a variety of topics to discuss.
It's like I always say, my show has vibes.
Right. Good night, everyone. Thank you very much for the support, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care. Bye-bye for now.